One of my favorite things, and I know this doesn't apply to you because you've been talking about those stocks for a long time, but one of my favorite things is like all the people that get excited who don't know anything about stock, but they just hear, because now this is like a trending thing and like everybody's talking about it. This is like when I bought Bitcoin. So now that's half the reason why it goes up. It's not just because it's split. It's because like everybody gets excited about it. And Apple and Tesla are such sexy companies that all these people that don't know anything about stock just go out and buy a whole bunch of Apple and Tesla stock because they're like, yeah, it's going to be my investment. It's going to be my future.
Yeah, it winds up like they went down. I think Tesla's back down to 450 and Apple's back down to 130. But it's a good time to buy it. So, yeah, why not? Go out and get some.
Why not?
And then just hold it. Like, I get married to stock. Like, I don't sell it. I'm a fucking OCD idiot. But if it's a decent company, like Apple's probably not going out of business. Tesla's probably not going out of business. So you buy it. And I got myself a nice little nest egg. I bought 1 share of each. And now I have...
Now you have 4 and 5 shares.
5 shares.
Not too shabby.
Although 5 shares of Tesla would be $2,000. That's not bad. I mean, that's pretty good.
All right, $2,000. That'll get you through a weekend, huh?
Yeah, sure would. Or an evening. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Jimmy!
You don't like when Chip does that?
When he goes like, "Oh, dude, it was driving me crazy," because I know he's been doing it, and I know like I pointed it out, and then Anthony was like, "Yeah, I've heard it," but that wasn't originally like the evolution of Chip drives me crazy. So the new things that become normal things are usually even worse than the original things. Like when Chip starts like, he goes like, that could be for a weekend or an evening, you know what I mean? And he just starts like his voice drops octaves.
Yeah.
And he thinks he's super kind of relatable and a little edgy, but still fun. And it's like, nobody likes this. Nobody.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
It is kind of fun, you know. I'm not sure what you're saying, Sam. You know, Travis knows what I'm talking about. But all kidding aside, yeah, it's awful.
It's so annoying.
Yeah, I imagine it's really enraging.
It's so annoying. But no, I'm the same way with what little stock and investments I have. I think that's the collector in both of us. That's that like obsessive compulsive collecting that we do. Yeah. The same reason why I have a lot of trouble, even when I buy sneakers. I never say that I'm buying them as an investment because I'm a collector. Yeah. I'm not buying them as an investment. If I wanted to invest, I would get an investment. Right. Yeah. But even when I buy like an extra pair that I'm like, this is going to be an investment, I still have a lot of trouble getting rid of it. And it's the same thing. Like when you have a stock and it goes up, you're like, no, I'll hold on to it. No, I'm going to hold on to it. And they're like, well, do you want to sell this stock so we can diversify the portfolio a little bit? Better not. No, we'll stick with the shares. They've been doing good. We'll stick with it. Yeah. I don't, they'll say, let's take a little profit. I'm always like, I don't want to sell, because I think eventually I'll sell them, but you got to pay taxes when you sell them too. Part of the reason I hold them, and again, I'm not like, I just buy stuff and I have it, but it's because you got to pay a capital gains tax if you sell it, I think. Yeah. Or maybe if you don't sell it, you have to pay it too. So that shows you how much I know. Yeah, I don't know. No need to worry. My accountant handles that. Yeah, mine too. That's my philosophy. That's something that I took on as a young man. But Tesla, I have to tell you, I've been thinking a lot about. Yeah, make sure you buy. Sorry, go ahead. Forgot Jimmy Wall Street has to. Old Jimmy Gecko has to conduct business over there all times. Lunch is for the weak. Yeah. Yeah, I one time said greed is good. Greed for power. Greed for... I didn't say it. I didn't do the speech well. I said greed for hats, and everybody just kind of walked out. Yeah, I mean, it's like we don't have this, all this. We're not investing so we can buy more hats. Yeah, greed for hats. Yeah, greed for eyeglasses. Yeah, I couldn't hit the marks. No, it's okay. It's okay. You'll get there. Yeah. But you see, Elon Musk is bringing us into future Jimmy world way quicker than I think any of us realize. He's putting microchips in pigs' brains. That's right. Yuma. Just to be like, hey, we're going to go ahead and cure everything. We're going to put this microchip in your brain. He came out. He was like, here's what we've been working on. They don't even have a doctor do it. They have a robot. They invented a robot that will implant the robot in your head to control you. or to monitor you at first.
Awesome.
At first, just to monitor you.
Awesome.
But what it does is the robot cuts a coin-sized hole. I want to know what kind of coin. Are we talking about a dime, or are we talking about a silver dollar? You know what I mean?
This is Anthony Dollar. Again, Sam, you had me interrupt.
But it says it cuts a coin-sized hole in your skull.
Yeah.
And then it implants a chip into your brain, and then it gets the wires attached to this thing, connected into the brain and all the stuff that's going on in there, so it can monitor what your brain is picking up and theoretically fix things in there too. I think
awesome.
he called it like a Fitbit in your skull with tiny little wires, and I think it can affect memory. It can fix your memory. It can do all this stuff. And I think it's not supposed to be the part of your brain that is the it's for the motor functions. It's not for decision making.
Right.
Which I think that's their way of saying, like, we're not trying to control anything.
Yeah.
We're not trying to do anything wrong. It's not for decision making. It's just for motor functions.
But can you imagine if they can sense certain neurological deficits long before you show signs, and the Alzheimer's or any of these things that fuck your brain, a brain cancer or any of these things? It's amazing. I wish we could live longer to see it. The downside will be the other stuff I've talked about. Everybody thinks Future Jimmy is a fucking moron, but I'm telling you,
that's right.
There will someday be a hack where people's thoughts are all hacked the way people's private cloud photos have been hacked. Again, it might be 50 or 80 years from now, but it will happen. It will be a giant scandal where the thoughts are hacked, and then where people are punished for their thoughts. But long before we get there, life expectancy is going to be extended. They're going to cure eventually. Mental illness will be weeded out because the chemicals won't be fucking incorrect. The wiring will be straightened out. Amazing. He's a fucking amazing Elon Musk.
It's like, the hack would have to be because they realized that they've actually been collecting all the brain data the entire time. And so that's when everything would come out. It's like when you find out that Alexa can record you, even if you don't say Alexa. Like, they say they're not listening, but they have the ability to.
I'm saying because we will be giving it away. Like, literally, I'm talking about when we start extending our lives by 70 or 80 years in addition to what we live now, or 100 years, like Ray Kurzweil talked about, uploading yourself to a fucking computer. Once we have the ability to do that, we'll be uploading ourselves. It won't be like they just take it. We'll be putting it there so that if our body breaks down, who we are is stored, and they can just be loaded into a new body, which sounds like we'll be robots, but we really won't. We'll be us. I have total faith that will work.
How will we handle the population control issues? There'll be way too many people.
We'll be colonizing other places by then. I mean, by then we'll colonize Mars or colonize one of the moons of Jupiter. Or of course, they're working on that now. I mean, again, we could be talking 500 years in the future.
So if they're going to colonize Mars, does that mean it's just going to be a bunch of people like biting their knuckles and going, come here, Jimmy?
Funny. Here, fucking green man, huh? Green.
Yeah, I wish I could do a better impression, but you got the gist.
It took me a second, but I couldn't hate it. It was funny. Yeah, fucking colonized. It's going to be fucking curmudgeons in space.
Yeah, just a whole bunch of Colin Quinn's up there. By the way, who delivered quite a shot. He was doing an interview, and let me see if I could find it real quick, because I wanted to play this for you. I saw it the other night. I don't know if anybody else saw it, but Colin Quinn was doing an interview with somebody. I don't know who he was doing the interview with, but they talked to him about his peers, and your name came up. And
I look forward to the compliment.
Yes.
I look forward to the compliment.
Let me see if I can find it. Maybe I liked it.
How could you? Come on. I look forward to the compliment.
Yes. You already know. You're just warming up right now for how great this is going to be hearing from your friend Colin. Yes. Hopefully, I'm sure I must. Yes, there it is. Okay. Let's see what Colin had to do. It said, Colin Quinn derails the interview just to talk about Jim Norton, Rich Voss, and Robert Kelly. Those are the three names mentioned.
But that's really, I mean, you perform. You're constantly, always somewhere doing your stand-up. You say 5 nights a week. You're out there doing it. A couple of times I met you down at the Cellar, and you got, I mean.
But if you pause this, Sam, who's he talking to?
Is there,
I don't know who this person is. I don't know who he is.
Oh,
I just saw this clip, and this was sent by Dawid Waldu.
Okay.
So I don't know where the interview is from.
Oh, okay.
Jim Norton's there, Rich Voss is there, Bobby Kelly. I mean, you just look at just what's in the house on any given night. There's guys that have had all kinds of levels of success, and they're going to be funny every single night. They're just funny. They're really good at what they do, and you're part of that.
Yeah, those three you mentioned have only had one level of success, but they're always very funny.
He's so happy with himself. He started giggling. This guy's trying to do like a real interview, and he's like, just takes a nice opportunity to smash his friends. But that's what you're gonna have a whole planet full if you colonize Mars. Now, do you think Elon Musk knows this? Because Elon Musk is now going to be theoretically responsible for increasing the population to the point where we need to colonize other planets, and then also being the one responsible for travel to the other planets and the colonization. It feels like Elon Musk is manipulating the way society's going just so he can hit it from all angles. 50 years from now, maybe even if 30 years from now, Elon Musk seems like he's going to be sitting pretty.
He's sitting pretty now.
He is.
I think that he's more companies will jump on and do it. But yeah, I really believe this stuff. It sounds crazy, but when you start to see what they're doing, I don't think it's crazy at all. And I know that there's a negative side to computers, but there's also a big positive. Like a part of me would not want to live to be 200, because again, look how bad an annoying culture is now. 50 years from now, it's going to be far worse, far more invasive, far more judgmental and shitty. Or maybe we will eventually weed out of that. I don't know. Maybe whatever it is that starts fixing our shit brains, and starts fixing the chemicals all over, will stop us from needing that. Maybe that desire to
Can you imagine
pummel each other will go away.
If Elon Musk could figure out in his brain microchip I'm trying to figure out a way to do it without saying the word chip.
No, I understand. It's humor. He's implanting humor and good spirits.
If he could figure out, that's a good word, how to make it so that his brain implant could make it so that it affects the part of the brain that needs retweets. What if I just turn off that part of the brain that needs constant retweets and attention, positive, negative attention, just constant interaction? What if I just turn that part off or turn it down a little bit?
Then you probably, just like me, would no longer really want to collect sneakers. It's that same need for it. It's almost like saying, well, if I don't drink vodka, will I be able to drink whiskey? It's all the same thing. I think it's all that rush. It's all that fucking chemical. So like that thing that makes it exciting to buy sneakers, or that makes me look forward to this, whatever the fuck I look forward to, it's the same thing. I just saw my stock. It's that same weird,
you mean that
weird
thing
chemical.
That thing that you watch a bunch of reveals from San Diego Comic-Con, and you end up at 12:30 at night spending $300 on wrestling toy pre-orders?
Dude, I mean, look, the same thing, the same drug, not to plug my own chip merch store, but that makes you go, well, they would like this in regular, but they would like it in distressed too. This obsessed fucking asshole you become. So it is that same part of the brain. We have to be careful not to shut that off. We want to just kind of balance it. But yeah, that whole thing needing retweets, because that's a chemical rush. So if the chemicals are there, chances are you won't need them as much. I don't know. That's my philosophy.
Yeah. Well, here's what he said as he's showing the audience. And by the way, Elon Musk has ideas for this, and Elon Musk is, he's starting this out. But let's put it all on the table. Elon Musk is also the same guy that when showing off his bulletproof car, he on accident threw a boulder through a window. So not everything is 100% where it needs to be.
It's a high energy pick. All right. Gertrude, thanks for coming out. So what the beeps you're hearing are real-time signals from the Neuralink in...
Doesn't that already creep you out that those beeps
I can't
are the beeps are the brain signal from the pig? So as he's talking, we're hearing the beeps, and not that they mean anything to us, but just the idea that you are able to remotely monitor this pig's brain activity is like, oh my God. And you look at the pig, and it's not like it's got some crazy Doc Brown future helmet on or something like that. It just looks like a pig, and we got a thing in its head, an implant, that allows us to follow the beeps, follow the bouncing ball.
And those, again, are so primitive in 2020. Picture the year 21. 80 years from now, what that with computer advancement will look like. It will be doing way more than basic motor functions. It will be, look at how far the automobile came in 100 years. Imagine, or airline travel. Imagine now with computers creating computers and creating computers. It's going to be fucking insane what they can control 80 years from now. It'll be moods, it'll be personality stuff. And then the key will be don't let somebody else get control over you and make you do things you wouldn't do. They're going to have fail safes for all this stuff, I'm sure, but I wish I'd be alive to see some of that.
80 years ago is 1940. So yeah, I mean, you look at
80. Yes.
1940 at this point. So yeah, you look at like people just marveling over TV sets.
Yeah, and I was thinking more the first 100 years or whatever. But you're right, because there's not as much in the last 80. Because planes, I mean, they're faster now, and there's little bells and whistles on them. I mean, the jet has worked kind of similar to the way it worked, except there's like more computer autopilots probably do more than they used to do. But I think that by and large, they haven't advanced as much since the 70s as computer brain stuff will. But I don't think there's been a need for it.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's probably the computer brain thing is probably just the next step. And it's just taking us a while to get there technologically because for the most part, the technological advances in like the last 80 years in our lives have just been kind of consumer stuff. It just makes stuff easier. Oh, cool, we can find stuff on the internet. Oh, cool, we can, but we're kind of living the same basic way that we were living 60 years ago, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, except, well, yes and no. The internet is more, it's like this fucking obsession with information people have. People
That's true.
Are much more judgmental now, I think. I mean, people were judgmental then, but I think now it's immediate. I think people are much angrier now. Like, there was race riots back then, and there was problems, but now everybody is literally frothing at the mouth, just looking. The only thing we're not doing as much, and in Portland people are doing it, I'll say we're not just clubbing each over the head, but I guess we are. People are worse now.
We are.
And yeah, people are worse now because the overload of information, everybody is frothing at the mouth and just fucking turning around looking for the next person to attack and fend off the next coming attack on ourselves.
Yeah, and information has been changed. Like the internet has changed information to the point that you can just use it to get yourself upset. Like you're not really searching for answers. You're searching for ammunition.
Yeah, people just want or confirmation that you're right, and any information that doesn't confirm that I'm right is something phobic or is wrong or it's fake news or it's a lie by the media or it's American exceptionalism propaganda. Like, you can't win. Nobody just wants to hear anybody else talk anymore. So maybe hopefully that will get weeded out.
Yeah, it depends. If we get past this idea, even like the violence that's happening, if you're going by Portland and the guy that was like, I'm 100% Antifa, and he's the one killing people, it's like, okay, it's the left's fault that people are dying. But then you go to Kenosha and the guy's like a Trump supporter. Okay, it's the right's fault that people are dying. You're just picking which side you want to be on and then forming your argument around it instead of going like, maybe picking sides is not the way to go anymore. Maybe we don't need to all be, on one side or the other. Maybe there's not just two teams. We've been good. I feel like we started to get a handle on this idea that having just two binary sides was ridiculous a while ago, but now people have glommed on even tighter to one of two binary sides, and you're like, what do you? Yeah. How could this, as many people as are here, how could you possibly just put them into two groups and it just perfectly represents everybody that way?
Yeah, I mean, and also, everybody just wants. It's this desire to see other people punished for not being a part of our group too, which is so crazy. Like it's this desire. Like as much as I don't, and I get the desire. Like I have those moments where I hear something, and I'm like, you fucking cunt. But then it's like, you just gotta be a big boy and tell myself to shut up and not expect somebody. You know what I mean? Like we all have an emotional reaction, but it's like the whole country. Nobody can control their fucking emotions. Everybody wants to be the one who makes the big statement. Everybody wants the moment of glory. Everybody wants their side to be. It's almost like everyone is so fucking self-serving. It's crazy. It is just crazy. Yeah. And then you say that and they're like, yeah, well, I'm sorry. You don't think these issues are real. Yeah, the issues are real. I'm not criticizing the idea of saying that people shouldn't be shot by the police without weapons. Of course, I agree with you on that. Of course, I agree with you on the fact that we have to do something about the virus. But the fact is, what I don't agree with is the way people are using these causes as excuses to be cunts to each other. And there are a lot of people doing that. You know, some people are very genuine and marching and they're being very, very legit. And then I see a bunch of people taking this Black Lives Matter movement and hijacking it. And it just seems like there's a lot of white people that want to make it about themselves. A lot of white people want to use it just to throw rocks through windows, and they're not really furthering the cause at all. Because then the focus, you said this the other day, then the focus is off your cause. The focus is off, hey, what's been happening is wrong. It has to stop happening. Now the focus is not on that. Now the focus is on board up the windows, there's fucking fires. No one is thinking of, hey, these guys are right. We're all thinking of how do you stop this shit from happening. It's crazy. And it's just, I don't know. To me, it's a bunch of people hijacking what is a true movement.
It happens every time. You just wait for the distraction to come in. Wait for the distraction, and it's like, okay, now we're arguing about, rioters, and we're arguing about whether or not people should be on TV shows.
Yeah.
Boom, there's your distraction. Now we've moved off the issue, and nothing's going to be solved, and we'll be able to go through the cycle all over again. That's why I kind of like the Elon Musks of the world that are still around, not getting so bogged down in the present and going like, all right, enough of all this nonsense. You guys argue about that. I'll be over here trying to figure out how to control pigs' brains and build rockets to Mars. That's what we all should be doing. Enough of this, like all this stuff going on right now, okay? Let's figure out how to control some people's brains and get on a spaceship and get the hell off this goddamn planet, because it's over.
Yeah.
It's done. We fucked it all up. We need to turn ourselves into robots and leave the planet.
Yeah,
it's the only thing we can do. It really is. We fucked up. We screwed it up. This is the last generation. You can't do it anymore. Humanity's over. We need to turn ourselves into robots, fix everything, and get the hell off the planet and just start over. Let's call humanity a mulligan. And let's start from scratch as robot people on Mars.
The ape side of us is just a dick. Like, it's gotten us this far. It is the ape side. This idea of pounding each other. Just because we're doing it on Twitter, social media, and publicly executing people, it's still the ape side. It's still, he's weak, get him, bite his balls off, and then claw his face. It's the fucking ape side of us. And it's okay. Right. It's gotten us this far. It has gotten us this far. But the idea of now this computer part balancing us a little bit, maybe that's the next part of evolution. We need it. Maybe. But it's okay. We can't beat cancer without medicine, pretty much. We can't beat a lot of things. Without medicine, we die at 40. So let's stop acting like all of a sudden we're these pure creatures who have come this far on our own. We've used medicine and different things aiding us all this time. We've used it. And you know how we don't freeze to death? Because we built shit and sat in it. That's why we rub sticks together. So now it's time to further stop that ape part of us from fucking everything up, which it is doing. You take the computer. That's the next step. And you help it balance it out, your chemicals a little bit. And then maybe there's a little bit of forced empathy. And by forced, I don't mean the state forcing you. I mean the chemicals actually just making us a bit gentler. Maybe that's the only way to get that fucking ape DNA to stop doing that. I don't know.
You're right. The ape DNA is not good. Like, there are two inventions, I believe, two things that make us the top food chain. It's the fact that we are the only species with brains enough that invented a door that locks and a gun that can shoot other animals that are stronger than us. No animal is stronger than the gun. So we invented a way to kill animals that are stronger than us and to lock a door so it stops other animals from getting in. That's what makes human beings top of the food chain. So what's the next step? You got to use your brain to invent something that makes us even further removed from animals. And that's when we become robot people from Mars.
Although it is fun, there is nothing stronger than the gun. And yet nature just wants to show us who's boss. So what happens is AIDS pops up and goes, yeah, good luck shooting me. And I'm going to hide in your cum and then bury myself in your friend's asshole. See how you feel about that?
Yeah. Viruses, little viruses come around and go, oh, humans, you're the top of the food chain? Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. How about we shut down free society for a year and get you guys all arguing with each other about masks? How about that, you intelligent human beings?
Yeah, it is funny.
Yeah, you're right.
There's always something. There's always something that will get us, that will keep us from growing to be, 500 years old.
Like, isn't that wild that a little virus comes along, a microscopic organism comes along, and it takes the most powerful species on Earth, and it just dismantles us completely?
And you wonder, did the virus, how does AIDS, I'm using AIDS as an example just because it hit us in such a weak place, which was sex.
Sure.
And does it say, I have it. Here's what we'll do. We'll hide under their fingernails. And whenever we chew their nails, they'll get sick. And it's not good. Not good. No, people aren't obsessed enough with chewing their nails. And then someone said, how about in the cum? And then everybody went, that's the move. Hide in the cum. Oh, they can't resist it. They're going to drink it. They're going to put it on each other. It's irresistible. We'll hide in the cum.
No matter how much great stuff these stupid humans invent, all of it ultimately is to make more cum. That's why they make things.
Lamborghini, if cum stopped existing, Lamborghini would be one of the first companies to go out of business. Nobody would want a Lamborghini if cum wasn't involved.
It would be the end of development of any sort of home video.
Yep. Yeah.
It
really would. It would be the end of a lot of things that we take for granted now because they were designed to help us lose our cum.
That's right. So when a virus realizes, oh, this is where they're vulnerable, let me sneak in there. Maybe they are the top of the food chain, the king species.
And Jeremiah Watkins, I believe, is available and here.
Yes. Our first guest of the day coming in early, Jeremiah Watkins. You may know him from his podcast, Jeremiah Wonders. You might know him from the hit Breakfast Time show on Instagram. You might know him from The Wave, from Roast Battle, or Kill Tony, or one of the many, many projects that he's working on. You may know him as the man who slapboxed Louis J. Gomez into submission, or the person I described as being very, very sensitive only a couple weeks ago here on the show. What's up, man? Welcome.
How's it going, guys?
Very good.
How are you?
I'm doing well. Yes, all those accolades are real and true. Yeah.
I became aware of you through Roast Battle mostly. Watching you, you were very funny. I noticed you're really free, man. Watching you you were doing stuff in between the roasters, right? You would come out and do all those crazy things. And I'm like, you did it without embarrassment or shame. And I'm like, he's really comfortable just being crazy and funny. I really respected that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's the only way to do that kind of show. If you half-ass it and you don't commit, then people are like, what are these guys doing up here? But they do that anyway, but, it helps if you commit.
But no, there was no, a lot of times we're doing stuff to be funny. We want to wink to the camera just so people don't think that but you were just being funny. I thought it was great the way you did it. And, it was this is what I'm doing right now. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I thought it was really good. And, there was no bullshit wink to the camera. You didn't need to do that.
Yeah, I feel like as comedians, we sometimes get a little self-conscious where we got to do that sitcom wink or head nod, like, guys, I'm being silly and I'm being stupid right now, right? Maybe that's what you're talking about. And we're just like, nah, we're just trying to have fun and accept it or not. We don't really care either way.
Well, I remember
was there anything that you guys, I was going to ask, was there anything that you guys did? Because clearly you're just doing it in the moment. And it didn't even correlate to the jokes that were happening at the time. It was just like, hey, let's do a physical 9/11 joke or something like that. Ridiculous. Was there anything that you guys did that you were like, I bet you that Comedy Central will not air this, but let's do it anyway?
There's one thing that I got a letter from the FCC saying that it would never air again on Comedy Central because we did it live and in the moment. We had this bit that was basically after a joke hit. It had nothing to do with the joke that was being told. It was a complete non sequitur, but I mimed giving a blowjob to Willie Hunter on stage. So he's like enjoying himself, and I'm like, my head is bobbing back and forth like from the camera's view, so you just see the back of my head and him like putting his hand on the back of my head. And then I stood up and I had white dish soap in my mouth and I spilled it out of my mouth like whoa. and was like, that was too far, that was too much, that will never air on our station again. But because we crossed the line doing that, they still play me shaving my pubic hair on Comedy Central, which is fun.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, Comedy Central lied if they said it was the FCC, because the FCC has nothing to do with cable. So that was just somebody panicking. It was some executive panicking.
It was for sure. I had the phone calls that I had with Comedy Central all during that show were so funny. Like, just them freaking out like about us like doing different stuff, like the presidents and vice presidents calling me like, you can't act like you're pissing on the president. I'm like, can we piss around the president?
I also love that, like, the big reveal after the blowjob thing. You're like, oh, what's the reveal going to be? What was he really doing? You're like, no, I was blowing him. Here's all the
I seriously no, that's what it was, guys.
And that whole thing of not winking, it's fine. I remember we were doing Tough Crowd, and there was one, I think it was in Act 3 or in Act 4, where we had to sing. And, none of the comics wanted to sing. We were standing, and we all had to sing our Act 3 or 4, and we were all kind of complaining about it, like just trying to be funny with the idea that we didn't. And Colin just got so annoyed. He's like, I know, you don't want to sing, you're a comedian. Like, I get it, sing. Just do the thing without the whole fucking letting everybody know you don't want to do it, And he was right. I mean, that was what sold it. It wasn't as funny if we were all trying to be too cool to sing.
Well, I did this at Skankfest every year. They do this musical, and it's all comics doing this musical, and that is kind of the get of the show. Is these comics are kind of not really committing to the singing and the script and stuff. So everybody's kind of holding their scripts, and kind of phoning it in a little bit. But nobody told me that was going to happen. So I really studied like all my lines and I studied the song, and I was like, I committed and I did the whole Broadway that whole thing. And I was the only comic that bombed so hard because the audience is like, oh, this guy is really trying. What's this guy doing? Like, this is weird. I'm like, I thought that's what we were doing. I thought everybody was trying. It's like, no, this is just like poking fun at the idea of a musical. I was like, oh, I took it too seriously. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's different. That's like when the whole push of it is everybody's kind of shitting on it, and you kind of come in fucking, with fucking, bells on your feet, like, come on guys, let's go, let's make this good for the crowd. People are like,
yeah, exactly. Memories all along. And I was like, no, dude, this is not that.
But it is uncomfortable. Singing is it's like dancing too. Like, I can't do it in front of people. Like, I get so fucking embarrassed in a weird way. Like, if you're bombing, you know how you can kind of get out of it? You can insult the audience, or you can insult yourself, or now there's ways around it, or ways to live with it. But when you're dancing or singing, like, I can't navigate that embarrassment. Like, I can't fix that to make it okay for me to be that humiliated.
Yeah, you can't really stop a song and be like, I wasn't really singing, guys. Don't look at me anymore. Like, there's you either got to see it through and just do it. Which is funny. Like, Sam, you were calling me sensitive a couple weeks ago on the show, and I was laughing so hard when when that was the review. Like, when you're talking with Lewis about how a sensitive guy slapboxed him and beat him, because it's so funny. I got so much crap for putting out a non-comedy song on social media, and I was just like, yeah, just experimenting, seeing what, and then people are like, dude, this is like the worst. It's so funny, like to comedy fans, they want one specific thing out of you, and if you throw something different at them, they might be like, no, I'm not into it. But it makes it even funnier with the storyline of me beating Louis J. Gomez in a slapboxing match. You're like, this sensitive guy just tuned you up, man. This is
he's just on Instagram. He's in love with his girlfriend. He's singing songs to her and stuff. Yeah, I think it's great. Yeah, I was watching that song, but it's so funny too because you're just waiting, right? You're just waiting the entire, like, I'm waiting, like, okay, well, I'm guessing like the last line is going to be the punchline. Well, okay, I'm waiting. It's like 2.5 minutes, and then the song ends, and I'm like, oh, this dude just loves his girlfriend. Like, oh,
Yeah, the amount of people who hit me up, they were like, dude, where's the punchline to this? I'm like, oh no, there isn't one. It's just a song.
Well, now, let me ask you. This is can you? I have not heard the song. Can you sing, or was it like just someone who can't sing doing it, or singing something you're actually pretty good at?
I can sing pretty well. I'm a musician, like outside of comedy, and during this quarantine time, like I've been trying to experiment with trying to do like more serious music and stuff. So I was like, I'm going to put this out, see what people say. The people who liked it, and then the people who didn't like it really did not like it. So just
that's balls, though. I respect that's balls to do that, to take that.
It was
chance.
balls, yeah. Do you? It's funny with you too, because you do so much. Like, I feel like there's a very artistic side to you, and you don't really get into trashing people and stuff like that. But everybody that you hang out with, like the entire comedy scene that you hang out with, is just trashing people nonstop. And you don't seem to avoid that either.
No, I enjoy being around it, and then like if you come see like my stand up live, like I'll roast people in the audience like in a friendly way as well. But it's one of those things where I think it's unexpected coming from me, because I'm kind of like, I'm a very goofy, silly guy. Like that's kind of like my persona, and when it comes from somebody who's like kind of just like a goofy looking guy like me, people are kind of caught off guard, like now I'm getting it from this guy of all people. People usually don't see it coming, because I'm like, hey, let's have fun, I'm a positive guy, and then like out of nowhere, like, oh, okay, it's going down.
And it is weird because positive, you don't think of most stand-ups as positive people. Like we don't get that label. And in most cases, it's probably true. But if you are a positive person and you're fun, like, I like the fact that you just kind of embrace that and don't try to make yourself something you're not. Like, because positive can be very funny if that's who somebody really is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing like Sam mentioned, I'm doing like this dumb breakfast show where I eat breakfast with strangers and friends who I know through Instagram Live, and it's just like a silly way of like connecting with people like in different states and even different countries, like, and just eating breakfast with them for a little bit. And it's just like, that's like one of the rules of the show is like, you got to be positive in the comments, and you got to be positive when you're on with me. Otherwise you get boot, and you got to be eating breakfast. So it's just like a silly thing. Another, project is like, why not? Like, why not keep throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks,
Yeah. I'll tell you why I love the breakfast show. I've been watching the breakfast show, and I love the breakfast show because it's almost like Andy Kaufman-esque, where you're sitting there and like you're just this almost like a Saturday morning, kid-friendly cartoon show type persona, where you're just like, Honey Nut Cheerios, it's so delightful, it's so great, and let's see who's out there. And you start going to strangers on Instagram, and you're like, the only rules are that you have to be positive and you have to be eating breakfast. And like you'll be like, oh, who's out there? What's your name? And somebody be like, I'm Andy. And you'll be like, okay, Andy, what are you eating for breakfast? And you're like, they go, oh, I'm not eating anything right now. And I'm like, yes, here it is. Yes, this is what I've been waiting for. Because you just go, okay, bye-bye. You just hang up on them. And it's like, that's not a polite, just because you smile through it doesn't mean you're not being a dick,
Yeah, exactly. That's a fun thing with that. Is like, guys, I positively said bye. See you later to that guy. Like, like, wait, Jeremiah, no.
Yeah, it's like there's no tolerance. He's like, well, no, I was eating something. Goodbye, bye.
See you later. Bye, friend. You got to keep to the rules of the show, because them's the rules.
Yeah, that's what I do. I'll sit there and watch for 20 minutes, just waiting for one person to not be eating breakfast so they get the boot.
Yeah, that's a fun turn on the show for sure.
What kind of music do you play? If you're a musician, what do you play? Or do you just sing?
So I mainly saxophone is my main instrument, and during quarantine I've been learning piano. Like, I've actually been taking like lessons and stuff like that, and then I played like guitar off and on for years. But the kind of stuff that I'm writing right now, like I've written some like love songs. The one that I put out was for my wife, and then I've been writing like some kind of like alt rock kind of stuff, and then even and then other comedy songs as well. But it kind of ranges. I've just been starting like writing stuff on piano lately, and just kind of seeing where it goes. But I've written like some Linkin Park style songs and like Fred Durst kind of stuff.
Sick.
Yeah, that one's called "It's Time to Break," which that'll be a fun one when I put that one out. That one's slightly more comedic though, just because it's so ridiculous in the tone.
What's a really awful song you've written? Like, is there a song you've written that you're like, oh boy, that was a pile of shit? Like, we've all had bad jokes that we've done, but like, is there a song you wrote that you're like, wow, that's never going to be heard by anybody?
There was one that there was a B-side that I wrote for my wife that I didn't put out that I sat on, and I'm kind of glad that it's pretty cringy. We're all going through different weird things in quarantine, and we're expressing ourselves differently. And that's one of the ways that I've been writing different stuff where I've been like. I'll write it, and then I'm like, oh, that's okay. That was buried deep inside me somewhere, and that won't see the light of day anywhere else. That's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like there might be. It is lovely, and it is wonderful, and it is professing your love. But also, when you start saying like, the only thing that makes my world turn is you, it's slightly codependent. There is some codependency going on there too.
It's a little needy. It's a little much. Yeah. And even women are like, you need to get your act together. you need some hobbies, okay?
That's one of those things that like your wife would play for her friend. And your friend would be like, "Ooh, this is this is creepy."
Yeah. The friend says to my wife at the time, they're like, "That is so sweet." And as soon as she leaves, like, "Okay, Jeremiah's got some issues. I don't know what's going on with him."
Yeah, they're just sending the song out in the group text that your wife's not on. They're just talking about what a creep you are.
Yeah, this guy is a full-on pussy.
How long married?
Coming up on 3 years, but I've been with my wife for like over 10 years. So she's been with me like since like open mic level, like all the way up till now. So
you look really young. Okay, so how old are you? You look like you're 23.
Oh, I'm about to be 32.
Oh, wow. Okay, you look younger. So that's what a nice guy, though. Like, if you're with your woman that long, I've never been with a woman that long, but to be with someone that long and still want to write love songs, I mean, that's a pretty nice. That's a pretty nice way to. Now, either that or you're overcompensating for being an awful husband. But I'm going to guess you're a nice.
That's
husband.
True.
You saw the video of what I did to Louis J. Gomez. That's what I do to her all the time. Slam her.
Yeah. Did you know when you get into a slapbox fight with Louis J. Gomez? Because I mean, you talk about bravado. Louis J. Gomez is a lot of bravado. You are over here being a goof. You're eating Honey Nut Cheerios. You're singing like love songs, and he's over here talking about rattlesnakes and cursing at people and having a Twitter fight every 2 days.
Yeah.
And so you would think, based strictly on the facts presented, that you would be the one having no business getting into a slap fight with Louis J. Gomez. However, he was, and I would use the word humiliated by you in this fight. Was that a surprise to you, or did you walk in knowing, man, Louis J. Gomez is going to look like a total asshole after this?
Honestly, I went into it and I thought that it was going to be way more. Like, I thought it'd be funny in general because I cut like a UFC style promo, like to egg it on, be like, "Hey, Louis, I'm flying to New York and I'm going to come and we're going to fight on your home turf at the Stand Comedy Club." We played it very serious, and I thought when we were going to slap fight in front of everybody that it would be for sure a little bit more goofy and a little bit more silly. But I saw the rage in his eyes, and I was like, oh, this is freaking real. What have I gotten myself into? Like, this is like true fight or flight mode right now. And I'm a very competitive person by nature. And as soon as I saw that he was taking it serious, I commit 1,000% to everything. So I'm like, oh, we're doing this? Okay, well, all right, let's go. I didn't think we were going to do it like this, but like, that's how it ended up. And we went for it. And that's,
You went into musical mode. It was you studying for a musical all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like, no, I'm not goofing around in a musical. I'm performing in a musical. No, I'm not pretending to slapbox anymore. I'm slapboxing.
Yeah, I'm not miming. I'm not being silly anymore. I was laughing. Like, we were laughing between the rounds, but like as soon as like they're like it hit, like we were like, dude, I had such an adrenaline dump after that slapbox match, like where I had to sit and calm down, like where my legs and stuff were trembling because I was so like into it. It was like a real fight. Like, it's the closest thing I've ever, been in a fight before. Like, I'm not a fighter by any means or anything like that.
What are the rules in a slapbox? Because I remember seeing a clip of it, but what are the rules? Like, obviously, open palm and you can't hit the ear. What are the rules?
What the rules that we did is open hand. You can't backhand. That's a big one. And then body shots don't really count as much as like you're going for the face. That's the main thing. So every time you land a slap on the face, that's when you get quote unquote points, and then that's added up by the illustrious panel of Legion of Skanks judges that we had that night, who were judging the whole thing. And it just
isn't it wild?
And we did 3 rounds. I think there were 3 60-second rounds, I think.
Isn't it wild that anytime there's a big competition on Legion of Skanks involving Luis J. Gomez, he loses?
Dude, I'm personally pretty excited to see what happens with his fight with Jason Ellis, because he's legit training. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I really love Lewis. He's so much fun because he's not. He wants to win, but he's okay if he lose. Like, he's fine losing. Like, he's just
it's more the competition.
He's more the competition and the idea that he knows it's good content. Like, he's a guy who really does. He gets it. I don't know. I love Lewis. I love the fact that if he loses, he'll still go and do it.
Dude, I've been friends with him for years, and it's funny. It's one of those things where he wants a rematch with me so bad that I think that it is affecting our relationship in a negative way, actually, because he's like, "Come on, doggy, let's go. We got to do another rematch." And I'm like, dude, it's so funny. It's so much funnier if you have to live with the fact that I beat you for the rest of your life than to do a rematch. But I love like how down for the joke and how down for the cause he is, like with everything. I mean, like, dude, like we've all been to Skankfest, and what they put on with that festival. Like, I've done most of the comedy festivals in the country, and it's definitely one of the best there is, if not like the best community feel whenever you're at that festival. It's amazing what they do there.
The crowds are amazing. They're really fucking good comedy fans. And when I did it, I was in a horrible depression. Like, really, this place where you don't want to perform, you don't want to do anything. It was a really bad period. And leaving there, I felt good. We did like a tough crowd reunion, and it's just amazing the energy. Like, the fans of Legion of Skanks are great, man. They're great fucking comedy fans.
Yeah, probably some of the best fans that I've seen in any market. Like, I was just in performing in Minneapolis over the weekend, and like front row, there's a couple dudes, Legion of Skanks hoodies, just like hanging out, who knew me from my appearances on Legion of Skanks and Kill Tony and whatnot, and just like smiling, the best audience members the entire time, good laughers, and like you can spot them immediately in crowds, like podcast fans and Legion of Skanks fans over different people in the audiences. They're just like, they're there for the comedy. They love it. They're all about it. It's cool.
And where are you now? Are you in LA?
Yeah, I'm based out of LA right now.
Okay.
You're a super creative guy, especially like on stage and everything. I feel like when you can't get on stage, like with what's going on right now, I guess you guys have figured it out with Kill Tony. Like, you just figured out how to keep something going. But I would imagine that that's probably why you're just sitting there trying shit, because you just must have all this creative energy bottled up that you have to just try some wacky shit.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, for me, it's almost like a vice for me, because I don't drink and I don't do drugs. So that's since those aren't options, it's one of those things where I'm always feeling like I got to create. Like, it's almost like I got to get my creative fix, even if it's right. I've been funneling that into more music during quarantine times, because I literally can't do stand-up as much as I can. I just was on the road these last 3 weekends. I did Minneapolis, Lexington, Kentucky, and Raleigh, North Carolina. And it felt so good to be back out on the road. But like, since in between, that was my first times on stage, like in 5 months. So I had to kind of, do an hour, like after being cold for a really long time, and it was difficult, but in my downtime, I have to be creative. I have to be like trying stuff and trying to churn stuff out, because that's the only way my brain will let me kind of sleep at night. Otherwise, I feel like I don't know, I feel like agitated and like kind of like on edge, I guess.
Did you do Acme in Minneapolis? I'm dying to do that room, and I was scheduled to do it for the first time, and this whole thing hit. So the gig. I'm glad that they survived, because I really am dying to do that room.
Yeah, it was Acme in Minneapolis, and the staff and everybody there could not have been cooler. And yeah, they did it was a social distance show where they capped the room, and each show had around like 40 to 50 people in there. And
perfect.
It was cool, man. Like it was like I'm used to doing like I do late night sets at the Comedy Store like every week in the original room, and I'm used to performing for very like a smaller group of people. So these socially distanced shows, they don't bother me like I feel like they might some other comics, because that's like how I cut my teeth in the original room at the Comedy Store. Like I'm performing for like anywhere from 2 people to like 20 people like most nights of the week.
With 3 tables empty in between them. Yeah, those late night sets or those shit road gigs where it's not meant to be that way, but it is what it is. They do prepare you. And I think anybody going into, I haven't done any social distance shows, but I'm assuming that people going in there are just, they all understand this is what it is, and we're lucky to be coming to a show. So I've heard the crowds have been really receptive and good.
They've been pretty good. It still brings out some garbage people.
Good for you. Good for you. Me trying to be positive, and then you fucking checking with negative. You're right. Fuck me.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man, where like, you know, there's still those people that are like, oh, there's an opportunity for me to drink somewhere, like, and be loud again. They're still like, you'd be surprised. Like, I feel like my first weekend was pretty chill, but like you always have like that late show, one of those nights of the weekend where you're like, dude, where do these people come from? And there's still like a handful of people who still like to heckle and that kind of stuff in the show. And then, but that makes you feel kind of good. You're like, oh, comedy's coming back, baby.
Yeah, there's dickheads that want to get out and annoy me even now. So yeah, I guess it is kind of like, it does prove that it's going to come back, and things are going to be fine. That assholes are willing to come back out again immediately.
Exactly. Yeah. Those ticket buyers, man.
If everything was just wonderful and everybody was just being supportive, you were like, no, this isn't it. We're not there yet. We're not back yet.
Well,
yeah, I would have no faith.
There's some comics that I've seen over the years, even where if it's so funny, if they're not being antagonized during a set, then they bomb. Have you ever seen those comics where if everything's going too well in a set, they start to freak out a little bit?
It's like watching a guy who's a fighter, who's a counterpuncher. And when you see a counterpuncher fighting a guy who's also a counterpuncher, it's really weird because nobody wants to go first. Everybody's kind of waiting, but guys who are counterpunchers fighting someone that likes to move forward, that's what you rely on. You rely on that fucking on that thing from the audience that causes you to spring back on them, I guess. Yeah, but you're right.
Yeah,
some guys like antagonizing or being antagonized by the crowd.
Were you always a teetotaler, or did you get to a period in your life where you had to stop drinking and doing drugs?
I've never drank, and I've never done drugs before. So I grew up like with kind of a pretty religious background, and I just that was like the start of it, and then I just kind of just kept going with the sobriety, like from that point forward, because my family, they all like in some capacity they drink or do some kind of drugs or whatever now. So it's kind of interesting. I just kind of stuck with it. I'm like, I already made it through the hard part, high school and stuff like that. So I'm like, you know.
Right. Once that end of the peer pressure goes away, you're like, it doesn't really appeal to me. If you don't start and you get to a certain point, you're like, there isn't that appeal is kind of lost. Right?
Yeah, I think so. Because, I mean, anybody who is close to me or knows me well, they're not pushing alcohol or drugs on me now because they know I'm a sober dude. Like, it's always like the strangers, like after shows or whatever. They're like, come on, have a drink with me. I'm like, I don't drink or whatever. They're like, and then they feel like I'm judging them or something. I'm like, no, I'll hang out with you, you know?
Did it take friends, like, time to figure out that, like, because there's this thing, the person who doesn't drink, people don't trust them at first. Yep. Like, they're like, oh, are you taking notes? Are you judging me? Is this going to come up tomorrow? Like, and it's like, this isn't about you. Like, me not drinking or doing drugs has nothing to do with you. Don't worry about it. We're hanging. Relax.
It's like, I watched the entire Sopranos, like all the Sopranos during quarantine. And it's literally
terrible show. I hated it.
Dude, I mean, just the worst TV, am I right? Like, why did I finally get around to watching it? I'm like one of those guys though, where they're always like lean in. They're like, "Are you wearing a wire? Are you like, they're wanting to pat me down and seeing what's going on because they can't believe that I just want to hang out with them and spend time with them like in a sober state." I'm like, no, I don't have to be tore up. I like you as a person. I don't need like some extra thing for us to hang out. You know, we're chill. You know, if anything, I like you more than the other people who have to get torn up around you to stand you.
Yeah. Like I just happen to think you're a funny dude. Like that's. I thought we were having a good time. When did this turn?
Exactly.
I'm the type. You're good because you don't judge them. I always want them to feel judged. Like if they're like, I don't drink, and it's like, do you want to go out and have a drink? And I'm like, no, I don't because I'm not an alcoholic. But I am an alcoholic. I don't drink. But that's what you ought to start saying. Start telling them that you're not an alcoholic and that you're actually a good person.
Yeah. Really get inside their head and really make them think every time that they sip on their beer, like, should I be a better person right now?
Yeah.
Do you know how little fun Bert Kreischer would have just hanging out if it was the four of us? If it was us three and Bert Kreischer, he'd be like, this is
Bert would be
this
sitting
is
on
the
the
worst
edge of
night
the
of my
bed,
life.
drunk, while we all sat there sober, just watching him, and he would be Bert at first, but then he would just feel self-conscious, like I'm the only one who's fucked. There's nothing worse than being the only drunk person when everybody else is sober, and you think you're connecting, but then there's that moment where you're like, oh, I'm fucked up.
Yeah. The rest of us would be like, no, this is cool. We're all cool. Except then he'd watch the three of us laugh at something and go like, all right, are they laughing at me? Are you guys laughing at me? Because I'm drunk? Are you?
Dude, he's one of those guys. I love watching him. I love like hanging around him. I even considered once, like I was like, oh, should I like hit him up? Like, should I text him and be like, hey, Bert, you're doing these drive-in shows. I'd love to go on the road with you. And then I thought about it for a little bit. I'm like, he wouldn't want me as an opener, like just to be the guy who's like checking in on him like throughout the night and being like, you good, pal? You all set there?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Plus that energy before he goes on of you being on stage and somebody like, do a shot, man. And you're like, hey, no thanks, dude.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm good. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I don't drink. Enjoy that for yourself. Yeah, no, not for me, but you enjoy it, bud.
I would be such a buzzkill.
Pals. keep it going for the machine.
Yeah. I can't relate to some of these stories, but I guess you get crazy sometimes. Am I right? I don't know.
I don't relate to this tour at all. Who's ready to party tonight?
Yeah, I woke up feeling great this morning, huh? Who else? Nobody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, guys, I like to party, but with coffee. You know, boo. Boo.
And cold-pressed juices.
Yeah, you're right. It would be a weird match to be, because I love Bert, but to be on the road with him, I would feel like I'm not a fun person. I'm a buzzkill. I wouldn't want to be around me if I was all fucked up. I just, you want to be around somebody more fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's not sitting there trying to talk about work or figure out the next thing or can actually have that conversation as opposed to like, I thought we were hanging out, man. You're like, no, I'm hanging. No, I'm cool.
Yeah, I'm like, Bert, you want to do my cereal show? It's at 8 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, man. Well, look, you can follow Jeremiah on Instagram at Jeremiah Stand Up. You're also on YouTube. There's a bunch of your YouTube channel is great because there's a bunch of your Instagram content and your stand up content and your podcast and just everything is up there on your YouTube channel. So check that out. You're doing a lot of creative shit, so it's a lot of fun to follow your content.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on the show. I've been following you guys for a bit, and it's cool to be on the other side and be a guest on the show. So love you guys. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you, buddy. We'll definitely talk to you again, and see you soon, man. Thanks, Jeremiah.
All right, sounds good. Be well, guys.
Be good. Yeah, we were having a bit of a delay, which we'll have occasionally on Zoom. So Jeremiah would talk, and we would watch his lips move a little bit at the very end. The connection is a little bit, but it might be my connection too. I can never tell. So, but he's great, man. I really like him.
Don't blame yourself, Jim. It's always the other person.
Oh, Sam, don't
blame yourself.
Sam, I appreciate that, but I don't.
You have such a wonderful connection. You have a wonderful connection.
What am I? I mean, who is to say?
Yeah, who's to say? He really is, though. He makes some wacky and funny stuff, Jeremiah Watkins. I first became aware of him too at the Comedy Central roasts and watching the Wave just do their interludes in between the roasts or while the roasts were happening, and just how like fucking weird it all was. And then I just started following along with what he was doing, and I was like, man, he's a hilarious dude. Very creative.
He is. And again, that lack of shame. I
know exactly what you're talking about.
It's not.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Funny. It's nice to watch a guy who can do that because it's not critical, like in saying he's shameless, but it's saying like he doesn't have shame when he's performing, like which enables you to be better at what you do. And I think it makes you a better actor too, better at all that stuff.
No, he's fully in the moment. He's not thinking about what is somebody going to think about after this. He's not thinking about how is this going to play out later. Who's going to be watching this. He's just fully in the moment, committed to the performance, and then figure out the rest after.
Yeah,
But it is pretty funny. It is pretty funny that somebody that's sober is doing that much weird shit. That always makes me giggle.
Yeah, I mean, you watch a lovable lug like me, and I just like to watch the other. Would you hate that I refer to myself as a lovable lug?
Yes, because nobody would refer to you that way. Nobody.
Yeah.
All right, we should. Who does?
Daddy.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll allow it.
Thank you.
Daddy should go to the bathroom when Daddy needs to go to the bathroom. But we got a lot to do. We got a lot to do today, a lot to talk about, and that's only our first guest. Later on in today's show, His Highness Hollywood, Sir Ian Halperin. I mean, I don't remember the last time we talked to him. Has he been on Jim and Sam?
I think he has. I hope so. No?
Sir Ian Halperin. I mean, I don't remember the last time we talked to him. Has he been on Jim and Sam?
I think he has. I hope so. No? Wow. Yeah, maybe not.
Travis says he doesn't remember. Yeah,
I don't think so.
It looks like Travis is drinking a little haterade.
Yeah, you did come across a bit of a hater there, Travis.
Little haterade.
Hater.
How's that tasty haterade?
Ian's my favorite.
Yeah, what's that little fruit punch haterade?
How's that
drinking there?
haterade you're drinking? All right, Daddy's going to make him the toilet bowl. We'll be right back.
The Attitude Era?
Xbox used to be known as the 1-2-3 kid, is that right?
That's right.
Right.
Now, are you guys talking about X-Pac?
Oh shit! Yeah, that's right. That's right. I thought it, but for Xbox to be the DX series, I feel like that's a little close to home. I got 2 words for Xbox. Suck it. I'm getting a PS5. That's what I say. I'm excited for PS5, and I don't even know why.
What's the difference between that and PS4? I mean, I know.
It looks crisper. It's crisper. It looks, the graphics
one
are a little
more.
crisper. Yeah, it's one more better. The graphics are a bit crisper, I'd say. You can get GTA 5 for PS5.
And 4.
Yeah, I've been playing on PS.
Also on 3.
Also available for 3? Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. All right, but it's a little crisper on PS5, I find. A little crisper. And
yeah,
also,
they upped the crispiness.
My DVDs look... That's the worst when you're talking about graphics. Nothing will tell you that somebody doesn't know what they're talking about quicker than somebody saying that, well, what's the difference in the resolution? What's a little crisper on this TV? It's like that you don't know what you're talking about, man.
I hate the word. Well, it's crisp. It was like my friend used to talk about his pants, but he would say the pant. He would say the pant. Maybe nuts.
Yeah, I love that.
Pant.
Well, you see, it's a stiffer pant. You see, the pant is a bit stiffer.
Yeah, it's in the crease in the pant.
It's a bit crisper. You'll be looking forward the Christmas gift of 2020 will be PS5, just for people looking for that crisper gameplay experience.
Yeah, I just don't like the word crisp. I like the word crisp, but not in that context. In the context that you were saying, but you understand why I would hate that.
Yes, of course. In that context, when you hear somebody say the graphics are a bit crisper, you're looking at that going, this sentence doesn't mean anything. Nothing that you said here means anything. This has no meaning.
Yeah.
You didn't help me at all.
Not even a smidge.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Smidge is another word that's really fucking upsetting.
You know what I hate? When people say a tad bit.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, how could it be a tad bit? It's either it's a tad or it's a bit. Both words mean the same thing. They both mean a small amount. A tad is a small amount, and so is a bit. So why would you say a tad bit?
Yeah, I guess it's one of those weird things. What is something irregardless? People say, I don't think that's a word, right? It's
not. It's not a word. Or I could care less. When what they're trying to say is that they could not care less.
Yeah, that's
like if you could care less about, but if you could care less about something,
yes,
it means that you might care the most about it.
100%.
But if you could not care less about something, it means that you might care the least about it.
You're right, and that is language-wise, you're correct, and I've noticed that. But it's one of those colloquial things that I don't mind. Like I could care less. Like for some reason, it just sounds. It sounds even harsher that I couldn't care less. I don't know why. Maybe because it's briefer. I could care less what you do. Sounds even more dismissive than I couldn't care less what you do, even though I couldn't care less is technically, like you said, it's the right way.
Yeah, there's something about when you say I could care less, colloquially, people take that to mean, oh, this guy does not care. But if you say I couldn't care less, there's something about that sentence that people go, wait, what's he saying right now? I don't understand what he's talking about. That extra syllable just leaves people going like, wait, what? Huh? What are you trying to say?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I agree. And I don't know why it is that way. There's certain little things that just kind of become, I guess they just become the standard way we say these things. And I guess guy who laughed through an awkward moment, we just kind of go with it. Back to you.
Yeah. Just laughing through the fact that you don't have a point.
You have nothing to say. So just put that awful laugh on it.
Yeah, irregardless is one where you're like, everybody kind of knows it's not a word, but there's almost a refusal to admit that. It's regardless. So you're trying to say regardless. Like to irregard something is to leave it regardless. So to say irregardless it's a double negative. Doesn't make any sense.
It's it's awful.
Isn't it weird when you find people that actually argue that library is the correct pronunciation of the word library? Like
who says that? Fonzie? I get my library. I hated how they tried to Fonzie nice qualities that you didn't know he had. Hey, shortcake, where's your library card? And he goes and fucks two twins in the ass. Fuck two sisters, two Polish sisters in the hiney.
You think he did that?
Oh, Jenny Piccolo was ass to mouth. He never talked about that.
Oh man! Hey, did you see?
Yes.
You see, Adele was culturally appropriating.
I know. Yeah, her hair.
Terrible person.
By the way, I'm curious. How does it? Not, maybe I just ignorant old white man. How is Beyonce not criticized? Now, is blonde hair on Beyonce fine? But fine. Adele's hair is not. I'm just curious. Somebody can explain the rules. I'll be glad to abide by them.
Well, it's not that big a deal. It's just Adele. Yeah, we're not talking about that right now.
Is it just basically, and this is true, is it white people who take anything from any other culture are appropriating, and any other culture that does it, we're not going to say anything?
Can I make a controversial comment? I believe that Adele would have gotten away with it when she was overweight. I think that if she had shown up as fat Adele and had Bantu knots in her hair, people would be like, look at Adele, queen, yes, queen, yes, queen, yes. But then she lost all the weight, giving in to society, and then she shows up with a bikini top looking all skinny, trying to take the titties out with the Jamaican flag over them, and people were like, and putting feathers in the back of her head, and people are like, you are not Rihanna, you are culturally appropriating.
You're so funny, this obsession, this nonsense obsession with cultural appropriation, which does look, cultural appropriation, you know, I guess at times is an important thing if you're caricaturing or mocking. But if you're just dressing a certain way, it is people basically, all these people who think they're such free thinkers are basically going, hey, that's not for you. That's those people. And then a lot of people will go, no, that's our thing. But yet we're taught that respect all cultures. Don't embrace any of them by dressing that way. America's a melting pot, and yet everybody should be separate with the way they look and dress. So if you try to wear that thing that you admire in another culture, and you're not clowning it or caricaturing it or making a mockery of it. You just like it and you're wearing it. You're appropriating. You're stealing. It's crazy. There's no consistent logic to it. Only certain people get called out. It's just fucking nonsense. It's just insanity. It's not stopping.
I think we should just celebrate a time when we could just say, hey, that person looks like a total asshole. Because culturally appropriating or not, Adele looks like a goddamn fool.
A boob.
So, I mean, I think
the woman looks like a boob.
Right, like you're not sitting here defending the way she looks as if she looks appropriate in the sense that she doesn't look like an asshole. But it's when people are like, wait, I don't know about appropriate, inappropriate culture, this, culture, that. Like, what if we just say she looks like a jerk off? Like, hey guys, look at Adele over here looking like a jerk off. And I think that's enough because, I mean, ultimately, that is to me the sin that she's committing. She looks
like a fool.
Like a dick. Yeah, she looks like she showed up looking like a total dick.
She looks like a dick. You don't hear that about women enough. That lady looks like a dick.
Yeah. Adele showed up with the feathers in the back and the bikini top and the Bantu knots in her hair, and I'm like, the first thing when I saw that picture, I'm like, man, does Adele look like a total dick?
She looks like a goddamn dick.
Yeah. And I think that should be the headline. That should more, and I think we could actually bring the world together. I think that a lot of people could actually unify around the idea that Adele looks like a dick, and we can say it too. Because if Adele were overweight, I don't think people would be okay with you saying that Adele looks like a dick because you can't fat shame people. Fat people, right? But she's all skinny now, and people are secretly, they don't really say it. Some people do, but you can't really say it. But people are mad that she's skinny, because you're giving in to the woes of society. You're supposed to be big and beautiful. Yeah. And so the fact that she got skinny and she's showing up to this party looking like a total dick, I think it's okay to point that out.
Maybe. I mean, I guess so. Maybe people won't be as upset with it. I don't really know.
Like if you showed up dressed like that and put Bantu knots in your hair, I'd be like, pull you aside. I wouldn't even consider the cultural appropriation of it. I'd be like, you wouldn't. Jim, I go, you know what? I'd pull you aside and I'd go, Jim, you go be you. You look great, man.
You look great. And then you'd tell everyone, look what Jim's doing. You wouldn't pull me aside and warn me. You'd encourage others to look at me.
You know what? I take that back. If you showed up looking like that, I'd pull Travis aside and I go, Travis, doesn't Jim look like a dick?
What's Jim doing?
What's Jim doing over here? And then, no, you're right about that. I take a picture, I put it on Twitter. They're like, guys, look at what a dick at Jim Norton looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would be appropriate, I think.
Yeah. But isn't it funny how people get so mad, the obsession with cultural appropriation, and it doesn't work every way. It works. If a white person is doing something that they don't, so I would respect people if they just said it. Like, just say it. That's what it is. It doesn't offend me, because I don't wear anything from any other groups. But it's just a very funny thing to see certain people pretend they don't notice, and with other people, it's an executable sin.
Yes, it says the native Londoner Adele shared a photo of herself with African-inspired hair wearing a Jamaican-flagged bikini to mark what would have been the Notting Hill Carnival, one of the world's largest celebrations of Caribbean culture. The 2020 Carnival was called off due to COVID-19. I mean...
So she's literally celebrating a culture.
She's celebrating the culture.
Praising
that's
something and embracing it. Not stealing it. She's not running away with it going, you can't do this to your hair. She's embracing something, and she's not making a mockery of it. Like, you can't put on blackface and go, "Hey, I'm celebrating a culture." Like, we understand the difference. So that's not what she's doing. She's not making an asshole out of anybody. She's literally embracing something and going, "Wow, isn't this great?" And what people need to all of a sudden, the whole fucking planet is legit. Hey, you don't live there. Hey. That's what the whole fucking country. Hey. Fucking assholes.
Oh.
Shut up.
You might be wrong, Jim. I'm doing a little research.
Okay,
British
I've been
Glamour.
wrong before. Oh, yeah.
British Glamour posted an article. This is exactly why Adele wearing Bantu knots is cultural appropriation. Okay. And here's a quote. Many are arguing that Adele...
Sorry. Okay. Sorry. You turned me already.
It's okay. Many are arguing, this is a quote, that Adele was showing appreciation for Carnival and Caribbean culture with her look. But appreciation turns to appropriation when it's worn as a party outfit and taken off again and disposed of. Right?
Oh,
so they're saying that she's an interloper, I guess. Yeah.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
So you should wear it. If you don't wear it every day, all day, then I guess you're appropriating. So I guess if you wear a long blonde wig and you don't take it off and you wear it all the time, it's okay. But if you ever change your hair color, you've just fucking shut up with the fucking the small sub umbrellas of rules. It's just it's a nonsense way, because the lie is, I just want to go after this person. So they have to figure out a way, because they do know that she's kind of praising it, not mocking it. So how can we take something she's doing well-meaning and make an asshole out of her for it? And I don't give a shit about Adele, but you see my point.
I do. I think that, I think first of all, they're trying to answer your question about Beyonce, which is she's not wearing her blonde hair as a costume. Adele is wearing this culture as a costume.
Oh,
yes.
See, so being a performer who literally whose entire life is in front of the camera, and people are deluded enough. And again, this is not a criticism of her, because every person in that life does it. But you think that a public persona of one of the biggest stars on earth isn't akin to... I get the difference between Adele dressing up once and her wearing her hair like that all the time. But white guys with dreadlocks, who I'm not a fan of, but they've been accused of it. And so, again, that's bullshit logic. So what do you think? They fucking rip it off at the end of the day and throw it out? No, they live with it, and they still get accused of it. So that argument doesn't hold water at all. Hold water? What am I,
honestly,
fucking grandmother? What am I fucking...
It doesn't hold water.
That doesn't hold water. That doesn't cut the mustard. Shut up, Jim.
The entire 90s Gwen Stefani would be canceled. Remember, everything she used to wear hair like that.
Yeah,
she used to wear the
Hindu dot
on her head. Yep.
Yeah.
They should go after her after all these years.
think so. I think she deserves it. I think you're right, Troy. I think that Gwen Stefani has this coming. She has had this coming a long time.
She's finished.
That son of a bitch. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I truly believe? That there are people who want to maintain like a degree of professionalism, so they want to intellectualize calling Adele a dickhead. And so they're like, well, there's got to be a way that we can legitimize just saying, doesn't she look like an asshole? Because she does look like an asshole, but you can't pretend that you're a journalist and then also, like, you can't be quote unquote positive, right? And you can't be pro woman and everything you're supposed to be, and you can't be anti-bully and also say, hey, everybody look at Adele, she looks like a total idiot. But if you figure out some social reason to be like, hey, everybody look at Adele, she looks like a total idiot, then you're not a bully, you're actually a hero to the culture.
Right, and this is the point of liberals and conservatives. Your level of phoniness is equal. Like, that's the beauty of everybody thinking they're right and fuck everyone else in the mouth, because it's like the conservatives won't just say they don't like fucking gay people. They don't like gay people. So they go, no, we're in defense of marriage. And just like these liberals are saying, no, we're in defense of a culture. We're instead of just saying we don't like when you dress that way, they try to find a positive reason instead of just saying, right, she's a dick, she looks like a fucking asshole. Well, nobody will just say their true motives. They all have to make it look like they're defending something, but they're not, because there's more valor in defending than attacking. And you never have to explain why you're defending something, but you do have to justify why you're attacking it.
You can't do a magazine editorial that says Adele shows up looking like a turd.
Yes. Although I'd read it. I'll be honest. I would really enjoy that one a lot.
I would subscribe to the publication. I'm like, if this is the kind of content we're pumping out, I'm interested. I want to follow around other celebrities that look like turds. I want to know.
Would you read it? How about if it said she shows up looking like a fat turd? Wouldn't you read that?
Yes, I would, Jim. I would be interested in the content at that point.
Oh, yeah, I would peruse be like that.
I would want to go beyond the headline for that article.
Yeah, I would really want to get into it. I would want to get into the nitty gritty of that fine article.
I would treat that article like we treated the mother-son love sex article that we did yesterday. I mean, really spend some time going word for word and doing some analysis of the situation.
That was fun. Yeah, that was really, really fun. And who was on board with us? Who did we have? Don't tell me. We had yesterday was, my memory was
I'll give you a hint. What am I drinking right now, Jim? What am I drinking?
Come.
No, Jim.
Oh.
That would be my hint to let everybody know that you were here.
Oh, come on now.
Stop it.
Let's cut it out. Don't be fresh. His Highness has arrived. And
I was going to say yesterday.
Oh, we had Dan Soda yesterday. Jesus.
Danny Fizzle Sticks, Danny Soda Pops was here yesterday. But yes, here to make some sense of the world we live in and maybe offer some commentary on society and celebrity culture. Somebody that we really haven't talked to in a while. He's a columnist. He's a celebrated author of many books.
Yeah.
He's an entertainer. He's a journalist. He's a Canadian.
Yep.
He plays mean saxophone. And he is, I believe, knighted by some form of royalty. Ladies and gentlemen, making his return to Jim Norton and Sam Roberts, His Highness Hollywood, Sir Ian Halpern is here. Are you there, Ian?
Yeah, I'm here, guys.
We can't see you, buddy. We can only hear you.
I don't see your face,
Ian. You
Ian.
can see me now. Maybe in a second it's going to come on. I could.
And you, I swear to God, Ian, if you're nude, if you are nude, we are going to throw you off.
I'm trying to get on.
Don't be nude.
Everyone takes a.
I'm here, but I have a great face for radio, so maybe we should keep it this way.
Can you see us?
No, I can't.
Okay.
I can't, but I'm here. You know.
Well, that's okay, Ian, but Jim and I have great faces for radio.
Hey, listen, I try not to laugh at my own jokes, but we all know I'm hilarious. Hey, it's great to be back, guys. You guys have been doing some amazing interviews. I've been following you, and I know it was Jim's big birthday. I wasn't invited, but my thoughts were with him.
Well, thank you, Ian. And that was not my doing, by the way. I did not plan that, or you would have certainly been on the list of invited guests and friends.
Merci beaucoup.
The staff and I came together to make the list. Yeah.
There you go. Let me see if I could get this video going here. Wow.
Yeah, I want to see your face. I want to see what. I want to see how you're looking. You know, I want to see.
I think it's going to come on now. Hold on.
Yeah.
I hope
Here we are. Let's see if it doesn't work.
There it is. Ian Halpern, I see your face.
Look
throwing
great.
up the deuces. You do look great, Ian. Yes.
Parts unknown. I know, Sam, if you remember the old wrestling matches, there was a guy named the Destroyer decades ago, and he was from Parts Unknown. That's where I am. I'm in Parts Unknown.
Yes, a resident of Parts Unknown.
Are you working on something secretive, Ian? You're always involved in some shady dealings, and then we see a book come out about something.
That's right.
Yeah, but I actually took about a couple of years off. I was traveling a lot, and I have a couple of books coming out later this month. One about the Hollywood closet. I'm outing everybody in Hollywood, and I'm really debunking all the theories about gay Hollywood, what's really gone on. So it's called Keeping Secrets, and that's coming out. And then I have another one coming out, which is all about talk radio and the Royals and an Epstein link. That's coming out a few days later. So coincidentally, they're coming back to back within a few days, but obviously I've written them over the past couple of years.
Oh, wow. Now, how come we were not interviewed for the talk radio one? Or are we not?
Oh, because you're already in there. You're both mentioned in there, and I didn't have to interview you. I just took parts of conversations we've had over the years. Actually, I'll give you one secret. You both look great in there. So
thank you, Ian. Thank you.
You could sleep well tonight. You could sleep well. Maybe other people at Sirius can't sleep so well tonight. But I won't mention names. But Jim and Sam definitely, and our old pal Opie. I expect to hear from his lawyers pretty soon after publication of the book.
Oh well, why?
Well,
why
which book? By the way, are Sam and I mentioning the other book too, or is it just the radio one?
Just the radio, the TV radio one. I didn't out you guys at all.
Okay.
No need to out you. I can vouch. You're both definitely no need to come out of any sort of closet.
Yeah, no. I've had I've been poking my head out for years. So let me ask you too, Ian, when you write a book, like, especially about the closet, because that's it's not as protective anymore. And people, like, literally lawsuits, people used to be able to get sued if you called someone gay. But now judges have kind of found that, hey, that's not necessarily detrimental to be called gay. So it's almost not seen as a suable offense. So are you less worried than you would have been 10 years ago about a book like this?
Well, I outed a lot of people 10 years ago, actually. This has been an ongoing investigation because I went undercover in the Church of Scientology long before anybody had the balls to take on the Church of Scientology. I posed as an alleged gay actor. I infiltrated them. And then they put a bounty out on my life until Details magazine, the New York Times, everybody else said, hey, this punk could write about them, so could we. They're fair game. And then Scientology forgot about me. But you make a good point. Look, yes, you can't really get sued for outing somebody today, but it's more the institution of Hollywood and sports that I'm taking on and that I'm outing for their, extreme homophobia since, the days of since Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin started the whole motion picture business. So it's really a historical thing, but I am outing new people. And, that's it. It's more about the Institute of Hollywood being homophobic.
And I'll say this, because I typically don't like outing because I just feel like it's people's choice. But I will say you were right about years ago. You came in and you said there's a Hollywood A-lister who's got HIV. I don't know if we've credited you. Obviously, you've been Charlie. And man, were you right. Like, you knew that before anybody. Tim. Yeah. You never got credit.
I didn't mention him by name because I did a movie about him in 2011. And I actually, look, the thing about Charlie Sheen I really respect, like him or hate him, I love him as an actor. I think he's one of the best actors we've seen in TV in, like, ever. And, it's sad he has so many detractors. And sure, he's had a turbulent life, a bad temper, a lot of bad incidents. But I'm such a fan of Charlie Sheen. I think, look what happened. Nobody could replace him on TV. It's just one of those guys that I always say everybody's irreplaceable, but Charlie Sheen isn't.
So what was it that you found as you're researching this book, where you're taking down these institutions? What was it that you really found that you were like, oh, there's a book in this?
Yeah, it's basically still Hollywood trembles when some macho type actor, they find out he's gay and they say, oh, we can't give you that persona, because they're still really petrified about alienating the female demographic. And that's the big thing, because a lot of the people who really support these guys and make them big megastars is their female fan base. So there's still, that old tropes of Hollywood producers who say, listen, you cannot admit you're gay. And that's sad. We've come so far. We've seen so many people come out that people should just be allowed to be who they are.
Are there people that want to come out, you think, but can't, like, because of what you just said?
Absolutely. There's still people who are afraid to come out, despite the plethora of A-listers who have come out over the years. And, I interviewed one Hollywood madam, and she's British, but she really provides a lot of the stars with escorts. And she told me, and I reveal this in the book, Keeping Secrets, she said she got a call one day, and it was from a very recognizable A-lister, and he asked for a man. And she almost fell off her chair, and she actually provided him with a man. And I will reveal the name of the A-lister in the book. He's definitely one of the top 5 biggest stars of the last 20 years.
When she told you this, did she tell you this in confidence, or did she tell you this knowing that you were going to put it in your book?
Well, it
seems like they wouldn't want this
record.
information.
You ask a great question. It was never off the record. I would never betray a source.
Right.
And I told her I was doing a book and possibly a documentary, and she gladly cooperated.
It's funny. There was a girl I talked to in New York. We were on and she's trans, and she was an escort, and she was telling me about it's an A-list guy that she fucked. I wouldn't say his name, of course, but it is weird that, like, she was so free to tell me this guy's name. Like, how do you know I'm not gonna like? But she really is like, oh, like, you should see him with his ass up in the air, taking like he loved it, like it wasn't like a mistaken identity thing. But it's really weird, like how these guys put themselves in those positions too.
Yeah.
Because again, if you don't want people to know, like, not that there's anything wrong with doing it, but if you're afraid people will know, is it that they think escorts pretty much won't say anything because that's the job, or?
Yeah, well, sometimes they're sort of forced to sign confidentiality agreements, and sometimes they're not. I mean, this Hollywood madam, she has her whole string of escorts, and they're very loyal to her because she gives them a lot of work. And even during COVID, I had a lot of people who were ordering escorts during the during the quarantine, and sex is still going on in Hollywood and in New York on a daily basis. So it's interesting in a sense, despite pandemic, and I also wrote a book about COVID that was published a few weeks ago, called COVID-19: Reflective Winds in the Deadly Corona.
How did you write a book about COVID? You're not a doctor.
I'm definitely not a doctor, but I did a lot of research on the pandemic, and the whole book's in poem and photos. It's all about. It's really, some people have said, I kid you not, it's the first real vaccine out there, because if you read the book, you will really understand what this fucking virus is about. And,
but vaccines like cure viruses. Like, you're saying that if somebody gets COVID, they could maybe read a poem from your book and feel better?
It's a vaccine for the soul.
To avoid getting COVID, read the book before you venture out without a mask, or
Could you read one of the poems from the book? Could you read one of the poems?
I can't. I actually don't have it on me right now. Sorry about that. I apologize.
You don't remember any of them?
I wasn't planning on promoting the COVID book here, but no, really,
I want a COVID poem.
It's a panoply of poems that really give clues as to what the virus is and where it emanates from for real, and how it's mutated all around the world.
Now, how have you handled it, Ian? You're traveling, so are you nervous being on planes or in cabs or wherever you are?
He reads the poems before he gets on the...
Okay, so I live in Florida, and when things started to shut down in Florida, I thought I could beat it because I had been in South America on assignment in the previous couple of weeks. So I hopped on a plane, and I went to Colombia. And when I was on the plane at Miami International, we were on the runway for well over 2 hours. And something was wrong. And the pilot announced, okay, guys, Colombia just announced all airports closed until September 1st. And the date was March 15th. And so anybody who's not Colombian, I guess you'll get off the plane because you're not going to want to stay there 7-8 months. Right. So everybody on the plane got off except 3 Colombians and myself. And the pilot comes up to me and says, dude, are you for real? You're not getting off the plane? Like, you're going to be stranded there. And in my mind, I'm thinking, you know what? I could finish writing my books there, play some tennis, and keep learning about Colombian culture, which I'm fascinated by. And he said, okay, if you're not getting off, it's your business. So the plane takes off. I get into Colombia, and at immigration, they even said, are you serious? You're coming in here? You might be stuck here. And I said, yeah, they let me in. I told them I'm a journalist, and I'll be there writing some books. So they let me in. So the first week, I was fine. I was working, and I was playing tennis every morning. There was no sign of coronavirus anywhere. And then, 8 days in, immigration trucks show up to my hotel. And the hotel manager calls me down. And immigration with a translator, because nobody really speaks English there, very few people.
What part of Colombia?
Medellin, which used to be the most dangerous city in the world about 30 years ago. And the Wall Street Journal, about 4 years ago, called it the number one city in the world for technology. Tel Aviv and New York were second and third. So they've had a big turnaround. I actually feel safer in Medellin, Colombia, than I do in the U.S. Much safer.
Whoa.
No comparison. So, especially South Florida. Anyhow, so the immigration authorities say, okay, you're here. You're the last guest in the hotel. And thank God I rented a great hotel pad. I had a jacuzzi in the living room. I had 2 other like small rooms that wasn't claustrophobic by any stretch. And I had a balcony. And they said, okay, you're the last guest in the hotel, and you have to go in 14-day quarantine by government order. So I said, okay, no problem. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'll go in quarantine 14 days and no problem at all. Now, flash forward 3 days later, immigration shows up again and says, look, we hear you've been going downstairs and having meals and the chef's cooking for you. You're not allowed to move from your room. We have deported about 50 people already, and there's very, very few tourists left in all of Colombia. So tell us what you're doing again. And I said, well, I'm writing a couple of books and, just doing my thing here. They said, okay, you're a journalist. We'll give you one last shot. You cannot move from the fucking room. So I said, okay, no problem. Now things are getting really tight because quarantine there is martial law, man. You cannot move. There's soldiers on the streets with machine guns, and their stimulus is like per family $20 a month. You could be 6 people in a house. It's not much. I mean, it's just enough for rice and beans. It's a very poor country. And then about 8 days later, I got a call from the government, and they said, look, dude, everybody's left but you. There's very few people here, foreigners. The airports have been closed. We created one last flight, and we only have a first-class ticket available. Do you want it? It's going from Medellin to Miami because there's a lot of Colombian Americans who want to leave. So I gladly took it. And if I wouldn't have taken it, I'd be quarantined there. They're still under quarantine, except one day a week.
Oh, you'd still be there. Wow.
And it has the highest rate of COVID per capita now in the world. It's exploded in South America, COVID.
That's very, very interesting. It's like I once heard a poem, and it went, roses are red, fireworks are outrageous, don't come in our country, COVID is very contagious. And it's almost like the same. Yeah, it's very similar to what you're saying.
Hey, look, I think maybe you'll win the Nobel for poetry, and maybe
thank you. Thank you very much.
And I'll buy Jim a chicken soup for his monumental birthday. No, really, Jim, my thoughts were with you, and I'm so glad for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was a really nice time. Everybody came on. It was fun. I hate my birthday for the same reason anybody in our age group does. I'm 52, and fuck it, it sucks. But everybody was nice, so it makes you feel good when people notice. Hey, thank you to the staff.
Ian, how are you tying together? Because you said the second book. First of all, when are these 2 books coming out? Do we know? Is it
the first one drops? It's supposed to drop September 20th, but I think it's going to drop in the next few days. It's called Keeping Secrets because we're ready to go. And the second one, it's called Controversy. And it's all about the radio, the media. I'm starting with Epstein because I actually interviewed Epstein for a book I wrote in 2001 when I infiltrated the model industry. Won a Book of the Year award in the UK when I went undercover as a male model. And I interviewed
Wow, you must have been deep undercover.
One of my notorious off-the-record sources. And we had a long interview, and I never revealed the contents of the interview. It's going to shed a lot of light. And I'll say one thing. After my book, if Prince Andrew is not finally interrogated by the feds, we got a major problem because I'm unleashing a ton, never before revealed stuff about the Epstein case, about Maxwell, especially about Prince Andrew, and about a plethora of other people connected to Epstein whose roles have never been revealed before.
What about the guy who runs the model agent? Sorry, Sam. The guy who's the model?
Brunel. That's Brunel. And if you Google, everybody's quoting from my book in 2002, Bad and Beautiful, because I exposed Brunel in that book. So even the Daily Beast recently quoted from their other publications, and they said this guy wrote about him almost 20 years ago. Okay, Brunel seriously is the most disgusting guy I have ever met. The most disgusting human being. He is nothing more than a serial pedophile predator. and somebody who tries to get everyone else involved in his own problems. And Brunel was running not only in Paris, I'm going to be revealing it in this book as well, but he was running it as far as Nigeria, all over the world, even in my hometown of Montreal. He was very active there, recruiting underage girls to perform sex acts and posing as a modeling agent and owner of a modeling agency. You know, ironically, in that book, I really outed the former head of Elite Models, John Casablanca. And Casablanca, honestly, love him or hate him, and I actually respect him because he took risks that nobody else did, and he never went with underage. You know, he was just a very horny guy, and being around all those beautiful women, he was involved with Stephanie Seymour, Janice Dickinson, who I interviewed. But Casablanca, after the book was published in 2002, he actually called me and said, look, man, I'm a bit upset because you wrote a lot about me, but you got it right on. And we became friends until the day he died. And one of his requests when he died, the BBC did a piece about him. He died several years ago. And he asked that two people be interviewed in the BBC piece. It was the model Angie McDowell and myself. And I was actually shocked. You know, and he's the father, of course, of the lead singer of The Strokes, Julian Casablancas.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, he's a pioneer in this field. But this book is no joke, and it's going to be done differently because I'm releasing two books at the same time. So Keeping Secrets, you know, about Hollywood's closet will come out in full. The Controversy book is going to come out in excerpts every week. It's going to be like a TV show once a week. It's going to be, you know, 10,000 words a week or something. Wow. And there's going to be
Stephen King. Stephen King did a story like that. Stephen King did a book like that where he kind of released it in a serial way. Yeah.
And that's how it's going to be released. You know, it's only one-time payment. They buy the book once, and they could upload it every week and get all the information. A guy down the hall from you, I'm revealing quite a bit from him about him. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He has a lot of curly hair, and he's about 6 foot.
I used to have a lot of curly hair. Now it's much less.
Yeah, Sam has
but you're not as tall as him,
hairs.
And you're not making about 80 to 100 million. You know, big ones a year. So there's going to be some.
But how do you tie in? How do you tie in the Epstein? I could see where the Epstein scandal and the Royals tie in, right? Clearly, they're linked. We all know this. We saw the interview that what's his name did, Prince Andrew did. How does that tie into then talk radio? You're saying that talk radio is also a part of this book about Epstein and the Royals.
I'm not linking the king of all media at all in any way to Epstein, except that Epstein was a huge fan of his. He admits that.
He's got a lot of fans.
There's other links in the book. It's called Controversy, and some of it's very positive about the king of all media too. It's warts and all. So there will be a good chapter about him.
But why would he be in it at all?
Why is he in it at all?
Yeah, what does that have to do with anything?
The controversy, it's not only about Epstein, it's also about the media and pop culture. And, you know, I think a guy making $100 million a year doing a talk show every day, he's a very integral part of pop culture, especially with people he interviews.
What do you think about Ellen? What do you think about everybody saying that Ellen is very mean? Do you have any inside scoops on what's going on with the Ellen show? Actually. I thought you might.
Her former publicist, he lived in my building for a couple of years, and we became friends. This was about 6-7 years ago. And he was telling me stories back then, which I really didn't want to hear at the time. He said she was a complete tyrant, the biggest a-hole he ever met in Hollywood. And he represented like real a-holes. He represented Chris Brown. He represented the running back, Peterson, who was suspended for hitting his kid or something.
Adrian Peterson? Yep.
Yeah, Adrian Peterson. So he represented some big names. And he said the biggest a-hole he ever met. And, you know, I don't want to rain on Jim's parade because they're in the same domain of comedy and maybe Jim likes Ellen. But he said she was the biggest a-hole he's ever worked for and that she was complete phony, complete trash. She'd do all these philanthropy gigs that were fake and phony, and she wasn't really the real deal.
Yeah, I don't know Ellen at all, dude. I've met her briefly, like half a second, so I've no no firsthand knowledge of her, no attachment to her at all.
Yeah. Look, again, anybody who works so hard and gets there, we have to respect, but you can't kill people along the way. You still got to respect other human beings and really try to be a person first and what you do second. Sure, it's very competitive. She sort of replaced Oprah as the queen of daytime TV. But from what I hear, it's much worse than even the media reports. And I'm actually going to be quoting him a bit in the upcoming book about her.
In controversy.
It's called Controversy.
I see. Well, it's like I always say, violets are purple. There's no need to ask. COVID is airborne. So wear a mask.
That's really
do you guys wear a mask all the time in New York?
Yeah, I read a poem with it. I read a poem and it inspired me. And I really consider it my vaccine. So, I wear a mask now after reading the poem.
Have you taken the Russian vaccine yet?
No, I'm trying to get my hands on some, though.
No, I've taken it. Putin actually gave it to somebody, and they put it in the bottom of an umbrella, and they jabbed me with it while we were out in a restaurant. So I'm hoping it will take
That sounds right. That sounds very accurate description of the Russian vaccine.
Hey, what do you think? Does he have it, though? Do they have it? And the China, they're saying skipping phase 3 testing. And the what are they? What's our major health? FDA has said they may be willing to skimp on certain phase 3 requirements if it gets to that. Do you think China may have something or no?
Look,
and can you answer in poem?
China's making money left, right, and center off this pandemic that purportedly emanated from Wuhan. Do you believe it came from Wuhan, from some wet market with bats? I don't for a second, but
I watched the RNC, and they kept referring to it as the China flu. So, yeah,
that gives it a lot of credibility, that argument. But no, really, where do you guys think this came from?
I'll be honest. I am okay. I have not heard an alternate explanation that I found that turned me away. I personally do think the animals, because Ebola comes from nature. I think there's these weird things when we fuck with things in nature that we don't encounter that often, and once in a while it just literally threatens to wipe us out.
I have a different theory, Ian. Ian, if I may, I have a different theory, and you tell me what you think about my theory. Bill Gates. My theory is that Bill Gates concocted this whole thing, maybe with Tesla. I mean, with Elon Musk. Maybe competing with Elon Musk. I don't know, because there clearly is some kind of a race to get some microchips inside of us. I feel like Bill Gates probably concocted this thing and gave it to the world. What say you?
I think there's a better chance even of Travis Cheft concocting it, because I don't think either of them really are behind this. I think it's much more
You're saying
complex.
COVID itself could simply be a plot to further the teftification of the U.S. of A.
Yes, you're saying a soon-to-be-fired radio producer could be behind this.
Yes.
What I'm saying is it's easy to point fingers, but there's no scientific proof. And if you talk to the world's leading scientists, epidemiologists, which I have spoken to many, they really have no idea what this is about. And that's what's so scary about this, because these people work in this domain every day and study this passionately and so in depth, and they have no clue what this is about. So I think we're in for a shocker. I mean, you might remember on the old Opie and Anthony show, I predicted a pandemic. Everybody was laughing at me. I predicted it a couple of years earlier, but it's a concoction of things, and the fact is,
I mean,
no matter.
But you predicting a pandemic like 10 years ago does not count as you predicting COVID. That's not. You can't. You can't.
No. But I felt the world was ripe for something to break out, because science can only take us so far, and I think we've had a big disrespect for the environment, for the world. And it's no matter which way you slice or dice it, it's a wake-up call for everybody to really better themselves, better the world. And we've all been humbled by this. There's no other explanation. Now, where it comes from, I think the jury's still out. If it's proven as biological warfare, would I be shocked? No. If it's the if it's the explanation from Wuhan, well, it sounds, it doesn't sound so plausible. It doesn't sound, it just sounds too unreal, man. It's like we're living in some crazy sci-fi film right now. And I think there's much more to this that we will find out in the years to come.
I wanted to ask you too, Ian, back to the Hollywood. Now, have any of the people, these big people who may be outed, do they know this is coming? Have you spoken to anybody or asked them to comment?
I have. I won't reveal names now until the book's out, but I've contacted all of their publicists, and some of them have given me, the straightforward generic denial, and some of them just haven't answered. And actually, one of them, who I'll talk about in the book, actually answered and said, "Okay, our client's gay, so what are you going to do about it?" And it's been
wow, and that was new, and that was, without mentioning any names, that was new information.
It really hasn't been revealed mainstream media, that's for sure.
I see.
So it might be something that's been rumored, but it might be something that's been rumored or known. But this is like they just said, "Yeah, so what."
Yeah, exactly. Something to that effect. Not so well known. And I even go further. Like, I talk about Cary Grant, early Hollywood. There were so many, I get really, it's going to be the definitive book in a sense that it's not just now, it's the whole history of homophobia in Hollywood. I talk about Eddie Murphy being caught with transgender, whether or not it's real. There's a lot more to it. I spoke to his people. I'm going to reveal a lot about Eddie Murphy in there, and a lot of other people. There's going to be a lot of names mentioned.
This doesn't seem like a constructive thing to do. I got to be honest, Ian Halpern. It seems like a destructive thing to do, and I've always been of the opinion it is easier to tear things down than to build things up.
Well, I think it's important. I think what you're saying, it's just on the surface, with all due respect, because really it's more about the institution of Hollywood being homophobic and really examining why they've really been so against gay rights for so long. And that's really the premise of the book.
I never knew they were. I figured they were pretty progressive, or maybe that's just the front they put on.
Well, the research shows that a lot of people are denied roles because of their sexuality, and that their careers are curtailed because of their sexuality. And they're not able to get the auditions that they want because of their preferred sexuality. There's a lot of discrimination. We're talking about BLM right now, but the same thing goes for gay rights.
You're a world traveler and somebody that follows world politics. Do you know what's going on in North Korea right now? Because I've been trying to follow this story, and months ago they were talking about maybe Kim Jong-un is in a coma, and then they said Kim Yo-jong was starting to take over, and then they said Kim Jong-un was not in a coma. Recently they said he was back in a coma, or he's dead, and now, I don't know if you've seen the latest update, but I read an article yesterday, and it said that Kim Jong-un is not dead, but Kim Yo-jong, his sister, might be dead, because they said anytime somebody rises to the point where they are labeled the clear second in command, the person that's going to take over in North Korea, they disappear. And they said they're worried that that's what's happened to Kim Yo-jong. What do you know?
You're 100% right. You look at his brother, half-brother, who died.
Yes.
Got killed, food poisoning.
Passed away.
And anybody who's a threat. So I wouldn't be surprised if the sister's in trouble or if she's dead. Now, is Kim Jong-un dead? There's no proof. Apparently, he has been seriously ill over the past couple of months. But you know how North Korea is. There's just no transparency whatsoever. I think one of the only people who might know, who I'm sure you could get on the show, is Dennis Rodman, because Kim Jong-un...
I'd like to get Dennis Rodman on.
He seems to respond to his calls all the time, and he's been there several times. But again, there's no transparency. Like, up until just a couple of weeks ago, they claimed there was not one case of COVID in North Korea, which I highly doubt, considering of the mutation of it in South Korea. And, it's just so much lies emanating from there. We never know what's real.
Well, if he's dead, I'll be honest. If he's dead, then I don't know who I've been texting with, because that would be really disappointing. He gets back to me when I reach out to him. We're actually very friendly. He enjoys Chip.
Well, but you better not get too friendly, Jim, because, I'm going to put on the internet that you want to be his successor, and we all know what happens to people who want to succeed. So don't get too close.
Yeah, you wonder if it was the sister being dead. Wow. Huh, interesting.
Yeah, that's what they're saying now, that there's rumors that maybe somebody's going after the sister now because second in command doesn't do well in that area of the world.
Look what happened to the half brother a few years ago.
Wasn't he not living there though? Like, wasn't the half brother wasn't the half brother speaking against him and not living there? I mean, the sister seems like a pretty loyal. She's with him all the time. The brother was out of it. I think he's probably closer to his sister.
Well, the half brother said he wanted to, he would succeed him, and that didn't go over well with Kim Jong-un. And then the sister now has been all over the media as the most likely successor, and anybody who's ever a threat to Kim Jong-un just disappears within a flash, So I wouldn't be surprised if she's dead too.
Well, you wonder, did people, maybe she was very influential over him, and maybe she's the brains of the operation, and maybe people who want to control him put the rumor out and started those talks because they knew how he'd react. It could have been one of those fucking real underhanded, shady things. Really interesting.
And again, Kim Jong-un, let's face it, man, he's really no Mother Teresa. I mean, that regime has just oppressed so many people for so long. It's time for change.
You're saying that you're ready for a change in North Korea?
Absolutely, man. Come on. People are treated barbaric there. They really have zero human rights, and they're basically robots to the government. And, this is a regime that should have been toppled eons ago. And Donald Trump, just by poo-pooing to them and trying to get all these PR shots, I think it's done more negative than good.
Hey, did you research Donald Trump before he was president? Did you know a lot about Donald Trump in the celebrity world?
I actually did.
I thought so.
In my models book in 2002, I wrote extensively about him because he used to own the Trump modeling agency. And he was connected to all those players, everybody from Epstein and all the big playboys, Casablanca. Look, ironically, I pitched the book to my publisher a year before Trump became president, and nobody thought he'd win. And Simon & Schuster got back to me and refused the book. They said, we don't think there's a market for it. And it's one of the... people still talk to me about that. I did the whole proposal, and because I did think he would gain momentum and be a strong contender against Hillary. I wasn't sure if he'd win or not, but I thought a book would be compelling about him and his family, especially Fred Trump, and and all his business dealings. It would make for a fascinating read. And now, obviously, there's hundreds and hundreds of books about him.
Well, his niece. Who wrote the book, John Lithgow. I don't know if you've seen her interviewed. Not a particularly lovely woman. But I get it, he's the president, but then she was fucking taping her aunt on the phone, just really not giving any information, just the older sister shitting on him a little bit. But that is so fucking shitty. The fact that she's doing it because he's the president, all right, fine, but taping the aunt who trusts you is such a shit move.
Yeah, it's like writing a book outing a whole bunch of celebrities after you talk to a madam.
Yeah. No, right. No, exactly. Hey, listen, at least the madam is like a 10 compared to Mary Trump. So this is exciting to speak to her.
Is she still a madam, that woman, by the way? Is she still a madam or no?
Well, she said she cooled it down during COVID. The business has been slower, but there's still clients during COVID. So, yeah, she still operates in Los Angeles. And, she's sort of the successor of Heidi Fleiss. That's what a lot of people labeled her. She's been doing it a long time.
All right.
Well, look, I mean,
I look forward to
Ian,
these books.
Have you been practicing your saxophone?
It's hard to practice with a mask on, man. So
that's a good point.
I know.
Where am I going to play? Where am I going to play? I think live music is taking such a huge hit during this pandemic.
No, that's true. And you were. I didn't realize you were a concert player, but go on.
Yeah, no, I do a lot of gigs. But I'm just writing books now. No mask.
That's good. I mean, people need books, but
yes.
So do you have your saxophone there in Florida, or is it in Canada, or is it in Colombia, or where is it?
It's not with me now. I have an arsenal of saxes. I have several, but no, none of them are with me right now.
Okay. I would love to hear that if it was.
It'd be nice to get a little music in the morning.
For several months now, lips get a bit soft. So
yep, I've experienced that.
Do you have any end in sight for the controversy book that's going to be released chapter by chapter? Do you have a plan of this is the beginning, this is the end, or is this just going to be one of those things that you can kind of go as long as you want?
No, it's going to be over 8 weeks, and it's gonna span a wide range of subjects, really tackling a lot of the rich and influential people of the world who have power to influence, big influencers, and discussing their past, their legacy, and whether or not their contribution is really positive to the world we live in today.
Good. And where are people going to be able to get it?
So far on Amazon. We're doing it on Amazon, all the Amazons around the world, actually. And then there will be several translations, one in France. There will be one in Spanish. And that's where we're at now. We'll see, as we develop how far it goes.
All right, buddy. Well, it's good talking to you, Ian. Ian Undercover on Twitter. We love Ian Halperin. Always such a compelling guest.
Always a pleasure. You guys, thanks for keeping us informed during this whole crazy pandemic. Is it a pandemic?
And we should, too.
It's a damn
pandemic or plandemic? I have to ask both of you.
That's the question. I'll answer that in a poem. But don't forget, too, Ian, Troy Kwan is still working with us, and we'll never forget
Troy.
how weird... Well, I know you do. It got real weird, all, taking your clothes off and getting in bed with him that time. Remember?
That's a long time ago, man. That must be 10 years ago.
Yeah, that was when Ian was doing the bed-in to promote his Governator book. And we went to interview him while he was in the bed. And Troy was like, "Can I take a photo in the bed?" And Ian was like, "Yeah, sure." And then for some reason, Troy was like, "Is it cool if I take my clothes off?" And then Ian was like, "I mean, yeah, I guess if you want to take your clothes off, go ahead." And then Troy, I'll never forget, Troy said, "The underwear too?" And Ian goes, "No, man, leave the underwear on."
What the fuck
it got
are
real
birds
weird.
So excited about?
It got real weird, didn't it, Troy? Weird time, wasn't it, Troy?
It was very uncomfortable in that room, wasn't it? Because he had just had his buddy in there.
There he is.
And I stripped down. It was a lot of fun.
Some people will only like you if you put them inside the box, and don't be afraid to show that the box might be up their ass.
Okay, yeah, totally. Yep, right up their ass. Thank you, Ian Halperin. You're always a treat.
Hey, peace out, Jim and Sam. Love you guys. Keep up the great work. And a big shout out to Travis. I really love you guys. Thanks for having me again. Peace.
Okay, buddy. Anytime.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ian. It's always a great time.
Yes.
Catching up with His Highness Howard. Sir Ian Halper got a little shot of his kitchen there at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, very entertaining. Travis, did you enjoy that? I know you've been politicking and angling to get Ian Halperin back on the show for some time.
So I almost went to remove him from the room because sometimes people don't immediately leave, Mm-hmm. But then I saw what was going on, and I just
You wanted to keep
let him
going.
figure it out himself.
I almost lost it mid-interview. Because when Ian was promoting his quarantine book about the about the poems about COVID, I got a private message from Travis that said, that's the stupidest goddamn book idea I've ever heard.
Somebody
I was
must have
hoping we
hacked
get
my
some.
account. I would never say that.
There was a nice poem I heard about that. I forget how it was. Something about Corona shall not beat us.
Yeah, I was really hoping to get some Corona poems out of him, but next time.
Let's we should break, Sam, because Daddy has to stiff leg.
Okay, is this one going to be a sit?
Oh yeah.
Okay, this is not one for a solo cup. Let's just put it that way.
No. If I did shit in a cup, what would happen? There would be that thickness of like you're holding the cup behind you, and the cup would tilt slightly in whichever direction the log laid on, and the log would droop over the top. It would actually be a marvelous feeling.
That's disgusting, man.
And you'd feel the warmth of my body if you were holding it.
Oh my God, that is horrible. On that note, we will take a break, and we'll be right back. Stay right there. Virtual. And some of it looked pretty cool. They had like virtual sets. You know, like they would green screen these acts in to perform. And I was watching like some of the Black Eyed Peas because people were freaking out because the girl in the group wasn't Fergie. I guess they replaced Fergie.
Oh, wow. What happened with Fergie?
I don't know. I think she wanted to go wet her pants by herself. She didn't want to be part of a group anymore. Or maybe she just wanted to hang with Josh Duhamel. I don't know.
Fergie is gone, huh? Jesus.
Yeah. Look, I mean...
Been gone for a while.
I know. I feel it. Fergie. Yeah, Fergie's been gone for a while. But look, you know, how could you blame her? Josh Duhamel, isn't Josh Duhamel still her husband? That's a sexy man, you know? I'd want to stay home with him, too, if I were Fergie.
Her singing as a kid was very cute. When she sang, she was really good. She sang the Lionel Richie song as a young lass. She did do one of the verses that I liked, but I did her version when she was like fucking 8 was really great.
It didn't seem like the BEP were highlighting the new girl in the group as much. Like it was just like she was just another group member. So I think they're trying not to make another Fergie. They're just like, look, we're in the greatest hits era of our band, so you just kind of do background and sing the girl parts, and let's not have you get more famous than the Black Eyed Peas this time.
Right. It's so funny. Until you said that, I was thinking she was in the Fugees. I know she's not. That's Lauryn Hill. But I was just thinking of the Fugees.
You were thinking it was Wyclef, Praz, and Fergie.
Yeah, it really was. I was thinking that I misunderstood where Fergie.
Yeah, I play my enemies like a game of chess. And you're like, yeah, Fergie, hit it. The miseducation of Fergie. Yeah. No, yeah, there's a Black Eyed Peas. But, they perform with the new girl. It's just kind of like a medley. And, you know, Gaga was there trying to keep up, trying to still be it, trying to still be, you know, she showed up with a fishbowl on her head just to let everybody know she's still outrageous, you know. Wow. Understand that, you know, she's aging out quickly. She's aging out of the demo. Unfortunately, she spent a lot of her youth doing some dumb shit like singing with Tony Bennett, just really being stupid. But she's trying to get back to pop life, and I don't know, man. I don't know. I think she's going to still be successful. She's still going to be super rich, but I definitely think she's in the Vegas residency portion of her career, which is not a bad way to be. But, you know, I don't know if it was
too much.
Sort of
too much Lady
Gaga.
Too
much too soon.
I thought.
Yeah.
What do you mean, Troy? Why do you say that?
I just feel like she won every single award. She would just talk for 2-3 minutes every time, and
babbling.
She just had these ridiculous masks and outfits on. It's just like, just over it.
Yeah, they were trying to like, and it's such like a fix. Like they're clearly just trying to get back into the Gaga business, and they, you know, try to make Gaga back into the star, and then people will watch MTV. But you know, I mean, kids aren't watching Lady Gaga; they're trying to watch some wet ass pussy on YouTube. You know, you can't even play that on MTV.
She won awards for her new album?
I think so.
I've heard some of it. I didn't love it.
I don't know.
She hasn't had a good album in a while. I remember saying we were obsessed with that first record. We loved it. And then just after that, it just kind of fell off.
Completely fell off. I'm still obsessed with that first album, and then also the addition to it. when she put out that like LP that
With
was
Bad
like
Romance.
like yeah, with Bad Romance and those 5 new songs. I was like, holy shit, this is the greatest thing I ever heard in my life.
Yep.
And then she put out the album, and Jim, you were down too. You were down with Mama Monster.
I saw her
And then
live in 2011 or 12 in Atlantic City. I thought she was great.
I saw her at the Garden. I think probably maybe on the same tour, and she was incredible. And then she put out the next album. And I was like, okay. I mean, I'm not off the bandwagon. Like, I don't know if this is. That's what like Judas and those songs were on. And I was like, all right. I mean, I'm not
Born This Way. I think that was on there too.
Born This Way.
That's
yeah.
what ruined her. By the way, that feud with Madonna really fucked her up
it
bad.
did a number on
They
her.
said it was like, what was Madonna's song that they said that was like? Born This Way. They said it was
Express
derivative.
yourself.
Express
yourself. That's it. Yep.
And I don't know if that was
Yeah,
Lady
very
Gaga
similar.
or maybe the producer got the music. I don't know, but that really fucking hurt. I hated the Tony Bennett stuff, but I don't like that style of music. You know, do, you and me as the night of the town. Ba, 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 baby. Do, pick me up. Ba, 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 baby. I fucking hate that shit. I hate the standards.
Yeah. I mean, if you're trying to get my mom to appreciate Lady Gaga, then sure. And she can do the standards. She's amazing.
Oh,
but if you're
boo.
still trying to get the youth, if you're trying to get the children, I mean, Wu-Tang was for the children, not Tony Bennett, you know? If you're trying to get the children, they're not trying to hear the standards. They're trying to hear, like, old dirty. That's who old dirt dog. That's who they're,
I don't love the standards.
No, who could you? Who could love the standards?
Not
They're
a fan.
not lovable. You could put you don't hate them. You put them on, but you're not going to get bothered. But you're not going to sit there and go like, "This is my shit."
But I guess
What about the classic standards though? Like Sinatra doing it or Dean Martin.
I
You
mean,
don't like
that's-
those either?
No, I respect that he had a great voice. Like I despise Mariah Carey, but she has a great voice. Like I know her voice is good.
Oh,
With Sinatra, I know his voice is good. And once in a while I'll hear it and go, yeah, I understand it. But I never liked the line something. He said, "Of course is you've got to hold your horses," and I'm like, oh, this fucking blows.
what about when you would do Cole Porter? I get no kick from a plane. You're like, yeah.
No, I don't
I
like
get a kick out of you.
that. Horrible. I get a kick out of you.
You never saying that to a lady?
No. No, I
It was
haven't.
a simpler time.
I've sang I can't find
it was a
clit.
simpler
I
time.
can't find a clit on you. I've sung that. Or I'd like some dick out of you. Send that to a lady. But no, I never get I get a kick out of you. Again, I understand though. The guy had a great voice. I'm not saying he sucked. I just don't like it.
You know why I will always have respect for Mariah Carey?
Why?
She fucked with Old Dirty Bastard. She put Old Dirty Bastard on that fantasy remix. And I'm like, I'm here for it. Sometimes I'll be listening to like the 90s on 9 or whatever, and just fantasy will come on, but not the remix. And I go, what is this shit? Like, what? Who would listen to not the remix of this song? And the remix comes on, and you hear like, Old Dirty Bastard explaining that he and Mariah go back like babies and pacifiers. And I'm like, yes, this is why I'm here.
Do you think they ever fucked?
Definitely.
Really? Okay.
For sure. Old Dirty Bastard. First of all, I don't think he was in things for the finances, because even while he was a recording artist collecting checks for touring, he was also collecting welfare checks. He actually took MTV cameras with him to collect his welfare checks.
Not the most advisable.
No, I don't think he had the greatest financial advisors in the world, but I think I think he'd probably do a song with you if he could get a couple bucks and, maybe an evening out. Maybe. Who knows?
By the way, now in my head, all I'm thinking of is, I get a kick out of you.
I get no
damn it.
mix. Yeah, I love that. I love that Cole Porter stuff. Anything goes. The world has got mad today. Spend some time with the standards today, Jim. You'll be a better person for it.
No, I'm not a big standards guy.
So did people got mad at the VMAs because they didn't put Kobe on the in memoriam section? Why wouldn't they put Kobe there?
He wasn't a musician.
What?
He wasn't a musician.
I mean, I guess not, but
I don't believe he was a musician.
Pop culture icon.
Yeah, but I don't believe he was a musician.
No?
Then again, are they only doing musicians or no?
Yeah, I'd like to see who was on the in memoriam docket. If it was strictly musicians, Kobe didn't have like a Shaq Fu rap album or anything like that. You know, because you could be your primary job could be a basketball player, but you could still be a rapper, Sega Genesis star, movie star. There are a lot of action figure guy. You could, they're a superhero. There's still a lot of things you could do.
Yeah. I guess I'm surprised they didn't, just because he has been so revered, you know.
Yeah.
And in pop culture. Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't, regardless of whether or not he was a musician, you think that they would have done that.
Yeah, but you'd think they would have known. People, even if they thought to them, well, he's not a musician, you'd think they would have known, well, people will be asking where he is if he's not here. People will expect to see him here, so we should probably just do it.
Yeah, maybe.
Weird choice. But yeah. And then yesterday, it was announced that Ron Jeremy, charged with sexually assaulting 17 women. There's 20 new charges against Ron Jeremy, including sexually assaulting a 15-year-old. They're saying that he's looking at a possible maximum sentence of more than 250 years to life in state prison. Oh, my
God. Wow.
Yes. The new charges come just over 2 months after Jeremy was charged with raping 3 women and sexually assaulting a 4th. According to court documents released Monday, Jeremy is accused of assaulting women over the span of 16 years. This is all from 2004 to 2020. So this is not like in the 70s on movie sets.
30 years ago?
No.
Wow.
No. This is all now. The youngest of Jeremy's alleged victims is a 15-year-old girl who he is accused of sexually assaulting at a party in 2004. Wow. Records state that 6 of the incidents allegedly occurred at a West Hollywood bar where Jeremy was a regular, with a 7th allegedly taking place in the parking lot outside of it. The most recent alleged assault, which is reported to have happened in January this year, took place outside an unspecified business in Hollywood. Jeremy is expected to be arraigned on Monday.
It's funny. Like, did we talk about his apartment, the way he was living? Did we talk about that?
We did not talk about it. I read the article though, and I saw how he was living.
Crazy, like this.
Yeah, like a hoarder
life.
Yeah,
this crazy life.
Which isn't, to me, it's not that exciting because I mean, dude, I still have the DVD of it because the documentary that came out about him, The Legend of Ron Jeremy, it is such. I mean, it has aged based on this and the fact that he probably is going to jail. It's aged so poorly because it is just such a glowing portrait of him. He's looked at as just like a pop culture icon, a fun guy, but they do show that, I mean, he's like traveling all the time, taking every piece of swag that he can get, living out of his like scratched up calendar, trying to be out of his house at all times. But like they said, it was like cockroach infested, the apartment that he was living in. Like just piles of shit and dirt everywhere.
When you see a place like that, like you wonder what a person's mental state is, or if they're mentally ill, or like when you see that someone can live in such filth and in such, not mess, because mess is one thing, but when somebody is living in filth, like in dirt, like again with bugs, you're like, I don't comprehend how a person can go home to that.
No, I don't either. How you can't just go ahead, Troy.
Oh, no, we've been in that building, by the way, where he lives, just so you know.
What building is it?
My ex-girlfriend's building.
No.
Oh, yeah. When I would stay there,
I remember.
I'd see Ron Jeremy hanging out all the time. He would just pass out in the lobby area. He'd be walking up the steps to the apartment building. You'd walk by, you just see him passed out. He was a little bit of a mess.
Wow, I remember the back. I remember leaving through the back staircase. I remember that building well.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, if you look at that article I sent you over, you can see you'll see the front.
Where did he live?
Hollywood.
In
in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, no, is it a shit
That was a really
building
nice.
or
That was
a dump?
no, it was a really
No.
nice building. Her apartment
Yeah.
was beautiful. She had a great apartment. Like, yeah, I mean, her apartment was amazing, actually. Like a multi-room, awesome place, and then the rooftop was unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Great
remember
views.
hanging out there. Yeah.
And I guess Ron has been living there for probably, who knows, 30 years or something.
Yeah, you could see there's like all this like overrun. I had no idea. There's all these like plants that have been there just forever. Like at some point he decided to get a house plant, but there's like dirt on the ground. The house plants are dead. Oh my God. Now that I look at the front of this building, I didn't even see it when I read this article the first time, but now that I look at it, of course that's the building. But also it's not like when we went into her apartment, it didn't look old. Like it looked completely new and renovated. Everything was nice. Like you wouldn't think there was a cockroach in the whole building. It's crazy to think that there was just this filth in the same building, man. There's literally dirt on the floor. Like you look at the kitchen and there's mayo piled up everywhere. There's cans of roach spray everywhere, which is just the worst sign ever. And you can did you notice in the background, Troy? If you look, there's dirt all over his kitchen tiles. But then if you look at the boxes piled up in the kitchen, you can see he's got a pair of Twisted sneakers from the band Twisted.
That's great. Jamie Madrox has got to be proud.
Yeah, or the Hydrox Child or whatever his name is.
You mean the Monoxide Kid?
The Monoxide Kid. Yeah. Jamie Madrox and the Monoxide Kid just looking at Ron Jeremy and his neon green Twisted sneakers.
Now, were they new sneakers, like collector item sneakers, or are they just used and terrible?
No, they're new. They're new. They were obviously given to him as a gift. I can see the shoebox right there. And this one doesn't look like it's been worn, but he's not keeping it as a collector's item either. He just hasn't. I'm assuming at some point he intended on wearing it and he just never did, but it's just new. It was given to him. I'm sure a lot of this stuff is just free shit and swag that he got from different places. Yeah, he loves swag. This is what Dennis Falcone's apartment would look like if he didn't have a family.
That's what you think his wife is what keeps him from living in filth and squalor and radio stuff?
100%. You would just have old radio parts and radio station swag and roaches everywhere.
Yeah, that's the part that gets me is the roaches. Living with roaches, like where it's can after can of bug spray, and they're nesting behind all those piles of things and under it, and you can never really get rid of them because the nest is not being killed.
Yeah, I mean it's a fine line, I guess, but I always try to make sure when I find stuff because I have my own space and I collect so much stuff. When stuff is just piling up too much, that's when I'm like, I have to clean this up now, or at least create some kind of organization here, because I can't let this tip over into Ron Jeremy, Dennis Falcone, cockroach infested living.
Wow, what a crazy fucking terrible end. He's still in jail now, I think.
He is in jail. Yeah, there are pictures of him at the hearing, and he just looks. I mean, he looked
hell.
He always looked like shit, but now it's like his hair is uncombed. It's still long, but it's all greasy, and he's lost it on top. His mask isn't on right, like it's hanging over what used to be his trademark porn star mustache, and it's now just kind of a gray mess. It looks like he hasn't showered or slept in weeks.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah, his bail was like $6 million. At least a couple weeks ago, it was $6 million. I can't imagine what it is now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they must have been working on this for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know how I'm guessing they have been. But, you would hear his name over the years, and you'd see him at conventions or whatever, and I guess that's just Ron being Ron. Everybody's circling around him.
Yeah, just lovable Ron Jeremy.
Yeah.
But this is a guy, the hedgehog. This is a guy who could have all the sex in the world, and he's still is accused of rape and sexual assault. Like,
but
it's
you
still,
wonder, can you? Like when you're that, I don't know how old he is, but if you put some weight on.
Oh, that's a great point.
In that business where they're very beauty oriented, is there a point where you're the man and you can fuck anybody you want, and then all of a sudden you get older, you get heavier, again, younger, much better looking people. The people who are in the business with you have aged out. And now there's all these other people who just kind of know you as a name, but they've never worked with you. And is that the part that, like, is that when things start to go bad? When you're not the guy who can fuck anybody anymore?
Yeah, the fact that this goes through the last 16 years when he's been, he's looked like shit the whole time. Yeah, I wonder if that plays into it whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't know.
But man, what a
Has anybody in porn ever had a good ending? Do you know? Like, has there ever been somebody that's like, things got better at the end?
We interviewed Jenna Jameson, and she seemed together.
Yeah, she was having a rough go at that point. I like Jenna, though. She's, she seems she's married now, I think. She seems like she's
Who would have thought, by
religious.
the way, who would have thought that you'd hear Jim and me? That was years before we were doing this. Jim was on the after show with me. Who would have thought you'd hear Jim and me interviewing Jenna Jameson and somebody would go, that's got to be the new morning show.
But she's like way into QAnon and she's like way into the Trump.
She's into QAnon. Oh, she's QAnon Trump. Oh,
check out her Twitter.
Cool.
She's constantly posting like those kind of conspiracy theory things.
Huh. That's weird because Tito Ortiz is a Trump guy. I know because he almost ripped my head off my shoulders that one time. Yeah, but I guess that wasn't enough to keep Jenna and Tito together.
Are there any porn stars who've had happy? I'm sure there's plenty. I mean, you hear about a lot of the older ones that have gotten into certain lines of work and causes. Asa Akira, again, she's still involved, but she's doing great. Like, I guess it all depends on what you do while you're filming. And like, wait, what do you do with your money? Do you save it or spend it? Or
what about Nina Hartley?
Yeah, I mean,
she seems to be doing pretty. Like, she still has her shit together. She still produces a lot of her own stuff.
Is she still working?
Yeah.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah, she's been doing, I follow her on Instagram. She's been doing some sort of, it's a little more of like an erotica thing than it is a hardcore fucking thing. But it looks like it's got a little bit of a twist of kink to it, and then a little bit of erotica mixed in. It's like a 50 Shades.
Jesus Christ.
She is
all right, Professor.
Yeah, exactly. He really does. And the lighting is very good. A lot of times the sound issues are, she's fucking sexy, man.
Professor Jerkoff over here.
That's funny. That's what they used to call my father when he was teaching journalism at Felician.
Two things I like about Mike Montone. Number one, constant shots at his dad. Number two, the fact that he takes masturbation like a science. I mean, this is a guy you got to respect. You got to respect Mike Montone. How could you not?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I understand that he does always take shots.
And that's fun, isn't it?
Yeah. That's a legend.
I'll tell you this, it's going to be a lot tougher for these adult entertainers to continue to produce their own content if nudniks like Bella Thorne keep coming and ruining OnlyFans for them.
Well, yeah, but she's not going to do anything that's going to satisfy OnlyFans people. Like, who want to see her in a bikini? What the fuck is she going to do?
Well, she had a sex necklace on, and people thought there was going to be some sex in there. What did you hear? What she did, and she's making it so that the OnlyFans girls can't make as much money.
What?
Okay, well, wait till you hear this. First of all, she put that video out with the sex necklace, and everybody's like, "Oh, there's going to be some sex here." It says the word "sex" right there. She's like, "No nudity," and people were like, "Oh, what am I paying $20 a month for?" Then she puts out this post, $200 a pay per post. So you're already spending $20 a month. But you could also do pay-per-view messaging. And she said for $200, she heavily implied that there was a nude photo set that she had. $200, you get access to it. Somebody posted a message that they say was with her that says, how nude is nude for $200? And she says, no clothes nude. Guy goes, okay. Whole bunch of people pay the $200. They get a photo set where it's Bella Thorne covering up all the bits and pieces, all the goodies.
Of course.
Nude, but covering everything with her hands. Everybody's like, WTF for sure on this one. WTF indeed. False advertising. This was a scam. They go to OnlyFans in droves. They all want refunds. Tons of them. OnlyFans is just dishing out $200 checks like there's no tomorrow. The next day, and they won't specifically say this is why, but the next day, OnlyFans comes out with a whole new set of rules where it's you can't tip on OnlyFans over $100 now. You can't do a pay-per-view message that's over $50 now. And your payouts come every 30 days instead of every 7 days, all presumably to protect OnlyFans from refunds.
Sure.
But it's got the sex workers going,
Sure.
we were making our income doing this. You're just doing this as a lark.
Yeah.
And now you're costing us money. You're costing us our income.
What a fucking asshole to do that. like, what a fucking bitch. Like, you know what people are saying with nudity. Like, you know when they're asking you what they're saying. And, technically I'm nude. Like, you know what you're doing. It's really shitty. And maybe people should have, before you're allowed to raise your price, because you should be able to charge what you want. So if you want to tip over 100, or if you want this, you should have to have like a certain rating. Like maybe you have to be there for a certain amount of time, like, on eBay or these other ways, customer ratings.
Right.
Maybe that type of thing, you have to establish that you're a certain type of provider who will at least give the person what they're asking for.
Maybe.
But I don't blame OnlyFans for not wanting to get fucking socked for all these refunds either. It's a nightmare.
And then,
oh shit, there's more.
She retweets a thing on Twitter that was trying to justify what she was doing that says, and you guys should know that Bella Thorne is doing research. She's working on a movie about OnlyFans with Sean Baker, our pal Sean Baker, who did the Florida Project. And Sean Baker immediately goes, absolute the fuck, I was not working on any movie with Bella Thorne, because Sean Baker is a very sex worker positive guy, and he's like, I do not want to be lumped in to any of your nonsense. I am not working on a movie with you. He released a statement. This is not true. I am not working on this movie with her. I don't even have any justification for what she's doing. This has, you keep my name out your mouth.
Yeah.
Was the statement from Sean Baker. Yeah, he's not, he has nothing to do with any of this.
So she kind of sucks.
Yeah, but, and then the other side of it is like maybe, because she's a young girl and she's been sheltered.
How old
so
is she?
She's 23,
She's old
Disney
enough to know.
star.
All right.
So she should have management around her. And, my worry a little bit is the, or better management, obviously. She has management, but they're obviously not telling her not to put up $200 posts that are scamming your fans. My thing is that there is a possibility that the more celebrities sign up for OnlyFans, the more the sex workers are, there is a legitimate risk that OnlyFans goes mainstream. And they're like, whoa, I mean, it was one thing when we had all the sex workers on, but now that we've got all this attention and we're making way more money, because you got people like Bella Thorne making $1 million in 24 hours. We get 20% of that or whatever they get. Like, why don't we need to focus on the celebrities and the advertisers that come with that? And if we're focusing on the sex workers, we can't do it. The same way YouTube's content changed when they got to a certain level. Like, if OnlyFans gets to a certain height, if I'm a sex worker on there and I'm thinking about leaving radio to become a sex worker,
I would like
if
that
I was
a lot. Especially if you would, right? If you specialized in like fisting your own asshole, like if there are people that do that, like that was your thing, to put on a glove and fist your own asshole and look over your shoulder.
I was thinking about bringing back Jar Man and just doing it on OnlyFans.
Yeah, Jar Man rules.
Yeah, he does. Jar Man's the shit. Am I right, guys?
Yeah, Jar Man's fucking. Yeah, Jar Man is awesome. Who doesn't like him?
That should be a T-shirt that we sell. Just picture of you saying "Jarman rules." Yeah, but I mean, like, if I'm on OnlyFans, I'm a little concerned that like the mainstreaming of OnlyFans is going to mean, because it's also like I feel like in the sex industry, it's even more important than other industries that people have the ability to create content independently.
You're right,
because there's so much potential for abuse.
Yeah.
when you've
But
got somebody else controlling that stuff, you know?
There are other sites. There's something called Just for Fans, I think, and there's a couple more that do stuff like that. But I guess OnlyFans has the name that's the biggest, but there's other platforms like that. You hope that they don't get stupid. And has Bella Thorne comment because she's doing some research for a movie?
No, she's not. She's decided not to comment. She retweeted that thing on her Twitter account, so it was like she was saying this, and that's why Sean Baker had to be like, I don't know what you're researching, but it has nothing to do with me.
What a lame piece of shit. Because you're stealing $100 for a fucking photo of you covering your tits. Fucking boo.
Yeah, you go post that on the gram.
Ooh.
Very risque. Oh, man. All right, guys. Well, thanks to His Highness Hollywood Sir Ian Halprin.
Yes. A delight.
And Jeremiah Watkins. Yes, as always. If you missed any of the show, we started the show talking about the future, and we kind of figured it all out, why being robot humans will be probably pretty good. So stay tuned if you missed that. And otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow.
Goodbye.
Bye.